The main industry of the colonial planet Vesta is agriculture, with a population of 200,000 and minimal defense system. This is the first time mankind has encountered an intelligent life form called bugs. Within 1254 years of the imperial calendar of the planet Vesta in Arthur's star system, 200,000 human men, women, children were slaughtered without exception. The inhabitants were overrun with no hope of fighting back, and the bugs started the war with 16 warships. They attacked major cities from satellite orbit and descended on the planet. And after the table, it got even worse, and the bugs developed a taste for cruelty and human flesh. Human galactic ship Iris Conrad, 1,200 crew members. It's been 2 years since the exploration mission began. The goals of the exploration are to find the home planet of Beetle, the enemy of mankind, currently in hyperspace reconnaissance. Perry spoke of the first lieutenant of the Imperial Galactic Army associated with the warship Iris Conrad, Alan Corrins. Is it normal for First Lieutenant how she ended up in this place? Ship Iris Conrad. The honorary captain stated that there was nothing to be done about it. Only the lieutenant along with 6 other people are qualified for the job, and 4 of them are sleeping in a cryo chamber. As she already knows, another qualified person who recently woke up from sleep is not qualified for this place. Alan has specified what he's going to do with these defective modules. Iris replied that she didn't have any specific instructions, so she didn't know, and asked what the lieutenant thought about it. The lieutenant replied that if they just get rid of them, wouldn't it be better to use them for other purposes? If these things are not mainframes, can they find another use for them? Alan responded that there are other ways to use them, and frankly, it fits the research topic. Iris thinks the title is Autonomy versus Environment. Alan confirmed it. Technical analysis for his research. Iris looked up the topic of her research, but she doesn't understand its meaning. Especially why stick to lonely environment. The only reason she could think of using BP is some suspicious purpose. Alan stated that this is a misunderstanding. Even if they can't access the mainframe, in the event of a human emergency, they need to provide a means of utilizing the VR. Iris replied that if they are ordered to dispose of them, then they can think about it. Alan thanked the captain, then he would finish replacing the modules. Iris anxiously called out to the lieutenant, Alan Corrins. Alan stated that he was awake. Iris replied that she was glad, because what would she do if he wasn't awake? Alan was afraid of what it was, but the captain replied that everything was fine and his early was already closed from the nanome. Nanome, short for nanomachine, is a military-grade machine that develops in the body of every soldier in the army of the Galactic Empire. Its function is a kind of multi-system with artificial intelligence function, medical examination, internal body control recovery function, and so on. Alan didn't understand what the hell was going on. Iris replied that during the hyperspace movement, they received some kind of attack and she didn't know exactly what method was used for the attack. Being in hyperspace, the ship itself must be in an incomplete state. Alan wondered with horror if there were bugs in there. The captain replied that no, it is impossible, because the Beetle technology is not capable of it. In any case, it did a lot of damage to the ship. They have deformed the ship, which is now able to navigate, now drifting. Attacked from all sides, the ship's bridge and engine sections of the first chamber Cree section, the second chamber section, the communication section, the gravity control section, the hangar section, everything is done for. Alan clarified if there are any survivors. Iris stated that there is no one else alive besides him. Some time ago, Second Lieutenant Oguo died in the mess hall. Alan didn't believe it. The captain, vice, the ship's commanding officer, all in the grandfather's squadron united. Iris agreed that almost all the crew members died instantly due to the shock received when they deformed because the gravity control section stopped functioning. Since for the most important, the ship's gravity control flap activated and the lieutenant escaped. She has another report this ship is heading for the nearest planet soon to fall. He clarified if she was talking about a planet just like theirs, what is the probability? There is a possibility that this ship is falling because it is attracted by the planet's gravity. The only way to avoid falling is to disassemble the ship and jettison the unnecessary sections. So they have no choice but to do it. It would require an order, but emergency first class and direct orders, but they don't have a captain. Iris stated that according to Article 12, Paragraph 3 of the Imperial Military Code, Lieutenant Alana is eligible to be promoted, but Captain. A normal Galaxy-class battleship captain is basically a commander since he's the only survivor left. An artificial intelligence like her has to take human orders. Realized that in short, for that reason, she is talking to a lieutenant like him honorably. If he were to get a higher officer education now because of martial law, they don't have much time, so he wouldn't have to sugarcoat it. The point is, it's like brainwashing that keeps him from doing things that violate military rules. Alan ordered her to sit in the chair and assume a comfortable posture Iris had notified at the beginning of the training. She had already confirmed this, also confirmed that her mental state was normal and unaffected by the drug from the biological treatment. Using the authority given to him, he now declares a Class 1 state of emergency. He also orders this ship to take all necessary measures to maintain the combat power of this ship and the combat power of the Galactic Imperial Army. This is the captain's order, and it takes precedence over all previous orders. Iris stated that his statement had been received. Alan asked if they could now begin to rebuild the ship, to which Iris stated that unfortunately the captain would have to be rescued by escape pods. Alan, he didn't know what she was talking about. Iris stated that the linkage of the life support section had been severed. Except here, the pressurization has already been lost. No more oxygen. Alan didn't realize that even if he escaped to the planet, the atmosphere, if any air on this planet. Using optical spectral analysis, there is a 93% chance that a person can breathe the air in the atmosphere. But what about the remaining 7%? An unknown malicious gas virus parasite. But even so, an escape pod. But what about a landing craft? The hangar aisle to the section blocked off besides all inaccessible landing craft have been crashed or destroyed. Alan realized that meant he couldn't get back to that ship. Iris stated that even if he stayed here, he would simply die from lack of oxygen, and currently there was a 54% chance of successfully recovering this ship by changing its orbit. Allah asked about food and weapons. Iris replied that unfortunately he only has what the escape pods are equipped with. This means that with the lack of firepower, food, water, and if ever he runs into an armored soldier with a bug, it will all be over. If there was anything else he could take with him. Iris wondered why he couldn't take the processor modules that had just been replaced. They were made of rare metals. That's right, if he doesn't use rare metals, he won't be able to maintain the nanome. When going to an uncivilized planet, if he has rare metals, there's no problem. Iris stated that the preparations were finished and to please secure herself to the seat. She wished the captain good luck, and Alan Miss Conrad the answer. An alert sounded that they had entered the atmosphere. Alan wasn't sure if they were really going to be all right, replied that no problem, it was within normal limits. He asked how often there had been emergency landings on another planet, to which he was told that 12 times in the last 1,000 years. Last time was about 320 years ago. The parachute was open, but the impact seems to have given me a few holes. Alan, I'm gonna ask if there's no problem with the parachute. But we've been told there's no problem. It'll reach the surface in 25 minutes. Is the air outside breathable? We replied that it is possible to breathe and safety standards have been confirmed. 1 minute left to land on the water. And he did not understand what she meant by landing on water, because the appearance of the capsule is damaged. It is necessary to avoid it. He told us that the place of arrival is on the lake, and it is impossible because the main engine is designed only for use in open space. Allah cursed, and then the capsule landed on the water. Alan noted that there didn't seem to be any problem with the air. Anyway, he had to get out of here and find a place with a better view. He went to the slide and spotted falling ship fragments. Missing Galaxy-class battleship should be sending a search party. But the fleet command know the PUDs of the ship's movement. The search will be centered around the space sector where the ship deformed. He can't think of a space sector around this system. In other words, would he really live alone on this planet until he died? For the first few days after arriving on this planet, he looked around. The nanome analysis showed that the water in the lake was safe to eat, which was good news. One afternoon, he encountered them. Using the nanome, he could hear much better and could see clearly up to 300 meters. Even though they stood on their own 2 feet, I immediately realized they weren't human because I was green yesterday. They were most likely an intelligent life form because they had things like a club on a spear and loincloths wrapped around them. Alan boldly approached and tried to make contact in human language, but they attacked all at once. When he sensed that they wanted to kill him, He struck back, and of course, all was important in an instant. And in addition to these monster feuds, he encountered creatures similar to the rabbits and wild boars of his home planet, which are valuable sources of protein. In addition, he also found edible plants and potatoes. He tried cooking the ingredients he had gathered that night, and it was quite difficult. To be honest, it wasn't tasty because it didn't have salt in it, but still a luxury. If you walk along Jackie, you might be able to get to the sea. There's a chance he could get salt there. Maybe he'd better leave this place tomorrow and go down the river. This has caused him concern. He has no choice but to take a detour. And by the way, we should find a place to sleep before the sun goes down. Suddenly, he notices wheel tracks, and there's also a hoof print. Could this be a carriage? It's proof that there's civilization on this planet and that they've gone that way. Alan asked the nanome to turn on long-distance running mode. In this mode, the nanome interferes with the lung cells to maximize efficiency and also increases the oxygen concentration in the blood to the maximum. This allows him to continue running for long periods of time at a run affecting his health and cannot be used regularly. He's run about 100 kilometers and he's not here yet. Nanome detected a sound that appeared to be the sound of battle. Alan ordered him to zoom in on the source of the sound. There's no mistake about it. He's seen those with human bodies, and it's someone connected to humans. It all started in 1513 BC with the first encounter between humans and other humans. Then, a scout ship from the third planet Adel and the Assaport system visited Cantata from the Gaia system. The exploration team of the planet Adel initially searched for a planet where humans could exist. At first, only animal-like plants were seen, and then people identical to humans. Looking ahead, all humans are removed, learning that these intelligent creatures had an identical genetic structure. A little later, scientists were able to prove that both human species evolved in parallel, but why do they have the same genetic structure? This caused some controversy on both planets. There are a bunch of theories on the subject, and the most famous ones say that they were brought by some third being to different planets to see how they would evolve. With years of progress by the state intelligence of the planet Adel, they discovered second and third persons. This third-person theory has become more and more influential because it's hard to find anyone who doesn't believe in this theory. Already, everyone believes they're all connected somehow. Over time, the human race evolved in other star systems, and they began to call them connected. Alan noted that this is the one with the connection he should help with leaving the targeting to Nanome. Nanome stated to the captain that the target was acquired. He needed to activate the barrel and wheat fiber adjustments. Pulse and breathing under control of the suit's position, adjusted, still stabilized. Alan couldn't understand a word, but the man's intentions could be understood intuitively. He wants to help the girl well. What should he do? Nanome said he needed to touch her blood. He instilled that there was no doubt and she had a connection. Need to wrap her wounds with something that can stop the chest current. And not too long ago, he collected Nanome on his left wrist. The scan will do over rest and give and drink her blood. Alan, does he really have to cut his blood vessels? Nanome told him to cut the vein as he was showing him, and the guy noted that it didn't hurt at all. Nanome blocked his pain receptors, but why didn't he say so before? Nanome told him to take 8 rare metal pills and give her 16. I'm open early can cause a problem, so you need to cut off the overbite part of the leg as equally as possible. Nan had also blocked her battle receptors and now needed to wrap the open wound with bandages, after which she announced that medical attention had been rendered. Alan, how long will she take to recover? To which Nanome replied that with any luck today, and maybe tomorrow. He needs to get rid of the animals. But what can he do with this from the people around him with no option but to bury them? It's not an easy job digging the graves of 9 people. Nanome turned to Alan and said the girl was waking up. The man was asked how many he had killed so far, to which he replied that he had killed 5 or 6 so far. And there are still at least 10 more to go. The girl asked another girl named Frau to give her a bow, but the girl was against it and asked her to please return to the carriage. A pack of gray tip ahead, another wave. Those bastards are annoying and there's no getting away from them. The girl was asked to please open her eyes. This is the case of Captain Antes. He stated that everyone is dead and they are the only survivors. They need to counterattack back-to-back on the sides of the carriage. The girl woke up and saw the absence of limbs. Then she noticed Alna, who spoke a language she did not understand. She didn't understand what his strange costume was. Maybe he was a jester or the opposition. What language it even spoke? Alan tried to explain it to her. The girl noted that her wounds were wrapped with something like screws, and also for such a serious wound they didn't hurt. Did he really just help her? The girl tried to find out where everything was, and Alan showed her. The girl began to list everyone. Leaner Gaimon, Arno Totero Mace, Milka Orov, Captain Antis, Efal. They all served from childhood. She knows she shouldn't cry in front of these people even if she is herself. She asked Alan to wait. She wasn't much help, but she wants to say goodbye to them too. The girl didn't realize if he had dug it all himself, this grave for the 9 of them. All who have served her long and faithfully up to this point make her Claria. So proud, and all her life let them rest in peace, and she bids them farewell. She doesn't know how to thank him for this, and quite respecting him who sacrificed his life for her and others for her, these feats are priceless. She thanked him, and she will no doubt repay him for this favor. She'll have to do it for this gratitude and to feed on the goddess Ruminos. For everyone's sake, she will accept it, and she is the one who cannot die now. Alan checked with the nanoma that just now the light enveloped the girl. However, he doesn't know, but after a second when she closed her eyes, he felt some energy. Alan did not understand what he meant by some. However, the nanome does not know. If we don't know what it is, then he has no choice but to ask her. The girl is damn tired. Just a couple hours ago, she lost her arm and leg. For such an injury, she has seen Fal's healing magic a couple times. But even she can't heal such an injury. This guy must be very talented. Alan tried to find some water bottles. He poured the girl some and handed it to her. The girl was amazed that this glass had such a thin facet that she couldn't even feel it in her hands. For an item like this, it didn't matter how many gold coins were spent, she still wouldn't be able to get her hands on it. Alan thought about the fact that she must be hungry, even though he had portable food, and since she was a girl, she must like the fruitcake-flavored bar. The girl didn't understand what the iron box was. Alan had almost forgotten that she had only one hand and whether she knew how to unwrap the wrapper. The girl didn't understand if he wanted her to eat it. She noticed it was so sweet. Alan remarked that she would love to eat it, and he was pretty sure she hadn't eaten any good food. The guy said his name was Alan Corrins. The girl said his name and pointed to herself and said her name was Clarid Starvin. The guy also repeated the name. No particular reaction after he heard her last name. She knew he wasn't from around here. But he's got a good last name, and that glass container is good too. And yes, a good one, there's no doubt he's a nobleman. Alan noted that he should sleep then too. If he was going to sleep, it would be appropriate to be near the girl. And for her drinking fluids, there was a 98% chance she would need to urinate at dawn. Alan cursed because he'd forgotten she couldn't walk and whether he'd have to help her when she needed to pee. This is so gross. While she would sleep, he would have to build it for her. He asked the nanoma to make some accurate blueprints and the necessary materials. Alan asked her not to move. The girl didn't realize if this was another healing magic. But he simply remodeled the prosthetic to her leg and asked her to try walking. Clarid could not believe that she could walk. She could still walk, and it was incredible. She cried and clung to the guy. Alan praised the nanome. Mission accomplished. And of course, his score was an A. Clarid thought about how something like this couldn't be done so quickly in the morning. Did it really take him all night to make this thing? As soon as Sir Corrins woke up, they would have to leave immediately, so she needed to get ready. The girl asked him if he would follow her. Alan woke up to the alarm clock and noticed that the girl was choosing the things she would take with her. The girl called him to follow her. He realized she was being followed and assumed that maybe she was some kind of criminal. Though no, it was quite possible that she was tied up in some kind of war. Nanome asked him to stop this habit of silent communication because it interferes with the analysis of the language. How many people are chasing after the girl? Not even a whole group of 10 people ran away, and there are obviously more than 10 people here. He does not know how many more people will come after them. There is some reason and time to deal with the luggage. At least half a day free, but he has Alina that time. He stated that they had to hurry and suggested that she choose what to take with her. Alan asked Nanoma to provide all the luggage she needed. She had salt and pepper and even cooking tools, and that was a real treasure. Clarid was afraid to explain to Sir what was really after her. He did not mean any connection with her, and she saw no reason why he should go with her. She couldn't blame Sir Cornus if he left, but Sir didn't panic, and had she explained her situation to him lucidly, he must have understood. Alan noted that he would bear this, and she could bear this. Clarides noted that the cheese intended to accompany her. She knew he was an example to all nobles. Shame on her for even doubting him. By the way, he doesn't have his own ball, and he used a ball lying on the ground to defeat a pack of grey wolves, the guy clarified unhappily, as the girl suggested he choose a sword. Of course, pulse rifle laser cannons would eventually empty their energy stores, and it was always good to have an alternative weapon. This sword is similar to the one he used in one VR game he was addicted to back in high school. This is the first time he's holding a real sword and might try swinging it. Clarid noted that it's pretty obvious for Sir Cornus to choose Captain Antes's magic sword. Nanom was able to trace the neural target of the accordion balls used by the VR military training game. They can apply to the nerve transmission. Clarid will finally be able to watch but infected 10 wolves with Sir Cornus's sword fighting technique, and slew all 10 probably himself. Alan noted that his body moved like the Viagra of his youth. The girl noted what school he was from, how fast his sword movements were. Maybe he should use the mysterious laughter technique passed down from generation to generation that he used to pass that game. Clarides remarked that this is a great technique. Such a beautiful sword technique, like a dance, these movements are not taught in any school. There's no doubt at first glance no one can match it, not even that holy swordsman. Its fighting technique is definitely Sir Cornus's trump card. For Monthly to reveal his trump card is a matter of life and death, but for him to show it to her, there is no doubt it is just his way of saying trust him, and also Sir trusts her. Alan has thought out his style last secret meteor shower of laughter, and his choice is made. But this sophomore year of junior high school is kind of the name of the technique. Even if she realizes it's better to keep quiet and the meteor shower doesn't really exist. The guy decided to clarify about yesterday. She said they had 20 more days to go and showed her on her fingers. And how many days before she grows her leg back? Nanom, I don't know, because it depends on the supply of nutrients and materials. So far, her body is slowly dismantling and compensating its other parts. If cell division is centered around her leg, she will soon be able to walk. Nanom's given us a 2-week time frame. Alan asked him then to focus on the leg when he was treating it, and would need nutrients to treat the body. He needed to find food. Nanom asked him to think more about communicating with her. The boy agreed, since he too was tired of all the mimicry. Touching the tree, he asked what she called it. The girl wondered if he was trying to learn her language. Although it's a little awkward to use gestures alone. Clarid explained to him how she pronounces it, and the guy calls that he will pass for memorization to him. Speaking of which, he didn't ask her age, although that's not exactly polite, but maybe she's just a kid and won't care. Alan stated that he was 25 and she was. The girl was surprised that he is 25, although he looks much younger. Then she answered that she is 10, but the girl has one hand and she can't show it. Alan had forgotten that she had one arm and guessed that she was 17. The girl agreed, and the guy was amazed that he guessed on the first try. To be honest, the girl is only 16, and she just doesn't want to look like a child in the eyes of Sir Corins. Alan pointed at the wild boar and asked what they called it. The girl restlessly noted that he was agitated and they needed to move away. However, the guy asked the Nanoma for help in close combat with the boar. He's conserving energy for his rifle and laser cannon, so he's gonna have to use his sword. So he freaks out because Anonymous was chased by 3 wolves. Sir Corinth tries to protect her, then he has to defeat the 3 wolves with no margin for error. From a space soldier who had been trained in battle with Nimi bugs, they didn't have a chance of you standing up to him. He got some meat, by the way. He me even to the river, and he offers to build a camp here for today. Probably she can even swim. Clarid was hungry from yesterday, and if she could just tell him. They had met a big boar recently, and it was sure to be meat for dinner. Alan noted that they had salt before, and herbs, and unfortunately could not experiment with seasonings, but there should be enough for 2. First, he must drain the blood with a lever and remove the stench. Clarid was amazed that he could cook, but hoped she could help him. She knows she can start a fire with magic. Alan noted that the girl had already started a fire once, and she was quite a capable girl. Clarid was amazed that he was eating raw fish on bread. Well, as it turned out, it was delicious. She never thought that raw fish could be so delicious. She could tell it was excellent. Alan will clear the plates. The girl remarked that she must have eaten more sulfur and how embarrassing. The guy noted that the girl had eaten a lot and whether she would be okay. Nanom replied that no problem, she had eaten her share. The substance inside her body was nutrient deficient, extracting her legs so she felt hungry. But while traveling, it is hard to prepare that much food every day. First of all, it's impossible to travel with a prosthetic leg. And if possible, I'd like to concentrate on the leg and the arm. He had decided on their destination. He should find a place to base themselves by the river and rest there until her leg recovered. Guy stated that about her leg, if they continue traveling like this, it will be uncomfortable. She knew the state of her leg was going nowhere at all. He offered her something to rest on. Claire had understood what he meant, but it wasn't certain she wanted to get to her destination as soon as possible, and she also wanted to arrive there whole. She's overdoing it again, and if she can't walk again, she won't reach her goal. This delay is something she has to come to terms with. Clarity's that rest is necessary. She understands it, and the boy is happy for her. Alana noted that it was not too early to sleep, and the depth of the river was perfect for him to swim. He told the girl that he would swim there. The girl noted that in no case it should not be done in the presence of a lady. In a situation like this, it's not wise to dissemble, and maybe the Lord will be embarrassed when it suddenly comes to a fight or something. She felt sorry to put him in that position because of her weakness. The guy didn't understand if it was so bad either. Even if a child saw him, he wouldn't care. Alan pointed out that he only had one suit, so maybe he should wear his uniform. Clara declared that she would wash herself as well. The girl noted that this military costume is like an exquisite tailoring quality garment with such fabric. If Sir can have such an outfit, is he a highly placed nobleman? At the very least, he is a marquis, although he was probably even a member of the royal family. Speaking of which, even if she washes the wound with water, it doesn't hurt at all. She is scared, but painfully wants to look at her wound. Clarid noted that the fetus was beginning to break up, and the thin skin was already starting to grow. It is impossible, and yesterday on the wounds of the severed bones already had skin not shrew. She knew that, sir, to use some kind of healing magic. Alan noted that the girl had finished bathing, and something surprised the guy. The girl thought that she had not eaten something strange, why he was so surprised. Alan noted that such a big change was due to the fact that she just washed, yes. If she belonged to the Empire, she could aspire to names from the galaxy. The reconnaissance drones made a successful landing and entered safe mode. Asked how the ship's reconstruction is going. At this point, they are simulating part of the evil of disposal. Have any messages been found from the lifeboat? None have been found, and the search for the planned landing site begins in 65 minutes. Iris stated that for the reconnaissance drones, the search for the captain is a priority. Artificial intelligence reconnaissance surveillance, then what appears to be a city, can be done in parallel with the search for the captain. Her orders have been accepted. Iris hopes her captain is safe. The year is 2248 Imperial Calendar, Tau Vegas, 2nd Star System, Colony of Asen. First-class warning on the Star-class heavy cruiser, Theo. The ship's commander, Colonel Iris Conrad, checked with Theo about the captains, to which he replied that they were all in contact. Command has clarified the situation. Damaged at warp exit of main unit 20 minutes ago, 16 B6 cruisers, range about 40,000 light seconds. They only have one Star-class heavy cruiser, 3 satellite-class ships they can't engage now. A week ago, a B6I fleet was supposed to show up for reconnaissance, and after assessing this position and strength, they launched a furious attack. A week ago, the planet Stea was suddenly attacked. Lieutenant Colonel Iris Conrad decided to destroy the colony immediately. A large shuttle was transporting the colony's inhabitants into orbit. Iris asked Theo how many inhabitants were left on Earth, and he said about 600. How long would it take to transport the people to the colony ship and into hyperspace navigation? 132 left. The girl wondered what had happened to the governor and why he wasn't at this meeting. As it turned out, Governor Chetos was the first to escape from this star system using warp. He only found the governor, but he's actually a coward. Now that the governors are no longer in charge of the highest-ranking officers, and the supreme commander is her, Iris Conrad, she has a decision to make. What action should the servicemen take in this situation? The abandoned people climb onto the shuttle and leave immediately. Iris stated that she will buy some time with her Theo's help. They will wait for all the shuttles to arrive. The others need to split up and go to Dasa airspace. One of the commanders stated that they would fight as well. However, the situation will not change even if they have 3 satellite-class cruisers. We must obey her orders. If I can't buy time, let them not wait for the shuttles to arrive and leave immediately. Deputy Commander Cass, as junior commander, should order him to do so. She agreed, though not for long. She was pleased to serve with them and wished them all good luck. Iris, she just took the job and she's all over Zhukov. Either way, if she doesn't put up a full load, she'll fail as an officer, so I'll move to pay the bills myself. Iris announced the personnel to evacuate to a neighboring ship. The crew didn't know what she was talking about. That's an order from the vice captain. She thinks to buy us some time and asks Sarah to listen to what she has to say. She understands her. All personnel should start evacuating. Iris apologizes to Theo, but he will have to stay with him. Theo asks her not to worry. He will stay with her. There was a warning 1 minute before the attack. Iris has ordered us to use Sigma-1 tactics. Before the bugs disperse, we need to kill them by activating the BPK. We need to keep attacking using the photon torpedo's pulse attack and let it fire a mid-range beam. 1 ship destroyed. The bugs' aerial attacks are strange. It feels like they're holding back. It's within her expectations. The bugs want to get their hands on human technology more than anything. They probably want to take over the ship, and if they could reduce the number of opponents. 5 ships have been destroyed. The enemy beam has been activated. Their power difference is 1 in 3 or more. They can no longer take damage, and it is a priority to avoid their attacks. How much more time do they need? Supposedly 36 minutes to prepare a hyperspace jump. 36 minutes left? They can't go on like this. They need to leave as soon as they are out of range and blow the propulsion bay and start drifting. Of course, also release the shield. Wouldn't Theo even ask why? Theo pointed out that there is no other choice. How the bugs reacted. All bug ships swallowed the bait and pointed their ships in that direction. Not a single enemy ship follows the departing ships. Iris ordered the combat robots and general-purpose robots to activate. Protect the retreat to the bridge. We need to jam the bugs' communication signal. They can't let any information leak from the ship. It could blow itself up at any moment. There was a 15-minute reminder. Who would have thought they weren't holograms? One day would come when she would fight them live. The bugs ordered her to open the system and hand it over to them. This was the first time Iris had heard that the bugs spoke human language, and so it was true that they were taming humans. The bugs once again told her to open the system and hand it over to them. They would kill her if she didn't. Iris urged them to kill her. The bugs told her to open the system and hand it over to them. They would eat her, and if she didn't, they seemed to want to intimidate her. Iris clarified, not really thinking about the priority of self-preservation. She will take advantage of the stupidity of these bugs. They are sitting on her. She needs to open and hand over the system to them. Iris stated that she refuses to let them eat her. She won't open and hand them the system, but she doesn't need to eat it. The beetles reiterated that they are sitting her. Let her open and give them the system. Iris stated that she wouldn't open and give them the system. Well, let them not eat it. Theo reminded her of the 1 minute. Iris asked the Nanomi to block the pain receptors on her arm. Theo reminds us that evacuation preparations are complete. It was a good job, and how long before Theo's reactor goes critical? The girl would feel everything to the max in 3 minutes. Iris turned to Captain Cass, and that she was handing over command of the deployed fleet to him. Sarah has been asked to take care of it. Iris would like to send a private message. She pointed out to Theo that this look was not appropriate, so he could put her in civilian clothes and make it look like she was in the captain's office. Also remove the background noise. Iris turned to Selena and Sharon, asking how they were doing. That drawing she sent her? It's a miracle, and Mom's very surprised. The thing is, she's really busy at work right now, so she won't be answering anytime soon. And it's too bad she's gonna be a good girl and take care of the house with Daddy. She loves them, and that's it. Everyone, and especially Theo, well, they cared in all sorts of ways. It's an honor to be under her leadership. Now they, with the hideous bugs, will meet in hell. Imperial Army Commander Lieutenant Colonel Iris Conrad praises her heroic deed, and she's earned up to Brigadier General 2nd Class. For some reason, the Brigadier General's latest video hit the net, and it quickly echoed throughout the galaxy. The Brigadier General was worthy above the Order of the Galactic Cross, and during construction it was decided that the Dreadnought-class battleship Galaxy would be named in honor of General Iris Conrad. 10 years later, year 2258 of the Imperial calendar. Unnecessary sections were jettisoned to the planet by a separate tractor beam and burned with compressed air. You need to guide the ship to orbit a satellite with this reaction. About drones on clouds are generated by starlight energy. So far, the prospects of a reconstructed ship, but drones with simple artificial intelligence make things difficult. They would need the extra power. Plus, during the first search, they scanned the city-state for human signs, and they need to find more than just the captain. She is the last artificial intelligence named after the hero Iris Conrad. But unlike her, she couldn't save the people on this ship, and that's why at least the captain, she will surely find him and save him. Clarid turned to Alan and told him that they were on their way. Right now, the priority is to regenerate Claria's arm and leg, and they are staying at a temporary base resting. He decided that the base would be located in a cave in the mountainous terrain. Just enter it is impossible, and if only to crawl through, but inside is spacious enough so that people can safely stand in full height. Here they paid attention to the treatment of Claria's leg. 9 days later, Claria welcomed Sir Corinth back. He hangs himself to come back and asks that the girl just call him Alan. During these 9 days, he goes hunting early in the morning. Also, Claria teaches him his language. His knowledge of the language has improved because of this. The only disadvantage of pronunciation, but he can calmly maintain a dialogue with Claria. As for Claria's leg, her heel had begun to regenerate. Soon she would be able to walk without any problems. And when the girl learned that her leg could be returned, her side improved immediately. During her few days here, she asked him to teach her Korintsev-style ball handling. She learned some attacks, and despite the lack of one arm, he diligently taught her swordsmanship despite knowing nothing about sword fighting. We should start a fire, and if you think about it, how did the girl start a fire while he was gone? She must have had some sort of lighter, however well just used magic. Alan didn't know what the hell it was. I don't know, Nanom, however, had not observed such energy readings before. The guy decided to ask the girl directly what had just happened. He did not understand how she was able to burn fire so quickly. There is no such ability in the modern human world. Maybe she's a physicist. At nanom Y of hypothesis, and according to the sensor reading, energy reading is the same as the unknown energy resource that was discovered by the arid star system in the second SARS. There was a case of demise. An organism instantly moved at a distance of 10 meters or more from a stationary state. When the organism was caught, it was studied, revealing that it enhances its body using an unknown energy. Is it possible to study the energy further? It is possible, but a special sensor developed on SARS-2 must be fabricated. Alan ordered him to begin work immediately. Nanom said it would be finished in 5 days. If a person on this planet is free to use such capabilities, it could be a problem. Good if just set on fire, but if you use this opportunity as a weapon. Alan apologized and offered to have lunch. 14 days had passed and the girl's leg had fully recovered. Claria thanked him. Claria said that when it was necessary to light a fire with the technique she used, she could do something else. Claria clarified if she spoke magic. Alan agreed to clarify if she could use other magic. The girl confirmed it and the guy asked her to show it to him. Claria used a fireball. She can use not only magic call fire and launch a fireball. The flight speed is surprisingly small and clean on the other side, but God forbid such a thing hits a person. Claria stated that much can be done about it, and she summoned a fire arrow. That's all she knows of fire magic. Alan clarified if she can use any other magic besides fire, and the girl showed water magic. That's all she can do. Very interesting, and Nanom collected all the data. He used a special sensor and can use so-called magic. It is quite possible he was able to detect the flow of energy, find some sort of white energy within himself, perfect the 20th energy, and let it pass through his body and then channel it into his hands, then keep the magic out. It's like the direction of a virtual game. Nanom don't know one case of vaulted and fire magic here. There is no difference when it comes to energy flows. Claria. I close my eyes, then think about what you did it. Water fire comes out of the difference in internal representation. The girl asked the boy if he couldn't use magic. Alan didn't understand why he was embarrassed by her saying his name. He didn't know but try. Nanom noted that it seemed true. but he was doing something wrong. First, he needs to use little energy. Please let him concentrate the mental image by doubling the amount of energy and adjusting the speed of energy movement. Alan Thon can release magic like that. I don't know, he just analyzed what Claria did. Just like Clario to visualize how energy is gathered and increase its speed, that's magic. Alan had succeeded in this. Claria noted how fast he could release a fireball in just 10 seconds. And what's more, he did it with his eyes open and didn't even cast a spell. Could he really be capable of such a thing? A true expert? Alan was glad he did it. It's really easy to do something like this. Or rather, it's a lot of fun. But ignition takes a lot of time. It's not so convenient to use in normal battle. Is there any way to reduce the burning time? Nanom has already recorded the energy harvesting sequence before the bioenergy is triggered and can be put into standby mode. Great. That means the Nanom can reload. Alan decided to try lighting 3 shots, then reloading. Should he increase the firepower and further introduce the grenade? Alan started the fire. A grenade can only be ignited once. Nanom thinks he didn't have enough power to set it off. It must be what just happened is not the legendary magic of the explosion. It's the firepower of those loved by the gods, Claria thinks. Magic is as dangerous as weapons. He must use it with extreme caution. Alan apologized. It hadn't slipped his mind. Is she really disjointed? Claria stated that no, she wasn't. In any case, they could end it there and come back. Alan questioned Claria about magic during dinner. There are 5 types of magic: fire, water, wind, earth, and light magic. There seems to be some sort of system for magic. According to Nanom, as on the second SARS, there is an energy in the atmosphere that has the property of being attracted to each other and moving toward higher concentrations. This is the source of the magic that he and Nanom decided to call magic. Also, magic cannot be used beccinally. Claria can release a fireball about 30 times. She said it takes her a whole day to recover. Nanom couldn't tell us how fire and water particles appear. Most likely in this world, the enemy can also use magic. It was better to study it leisurely. Luckily, he had plenty of time. Claria cried, calling for her family and Captain Antis. Too many wonderful things have happened since Sir Corin saved her, and she still has nightmares about how many days have passed. As soon as that hand is healed, they will be separated immediately. If Sir Corin's with his miraculous power would take her to the kingdom of Vert, how wonderful it would be. One day she asked Lord Corin's why her limbs were healing. According to him, there are very small spirits inside her that cannot be seen. He said that he has put spirits in her body to draw her out from inside. She believes that the spirits of the goddess Lumia are there, but she still can't realize it. But she believes him. It is impossible that such a versatile and kind man like him could be disliked by the goddess Lumia. Her arm and leg, which have just healed, are proof of that. But Sir Corin's, she will not allow him to be involved. It is a matter of honor for the Starwind family. Even if she does it alone, the goddess Lumia, she is grateful to her for using him and sending him to her. In the way of her kingdom, Starwind and her people, may the light of the goddess shine upon them. Claria's arm and leg had already fully recovered. They left the base and went on their journey. There was no longer the voice barrier between them that there used to be, so he was able to communicate with her every day. He asked her everything that came to mind. First, this world is called Alice, and they seem to be in a continent called Selene. Then he tried to find out who was after her and for what reasons. Claria can't say now if he can wait. She will tell him everything when the time comes. She must have good reasons for hiding it. He doesn't know why. But having lived with her all this time, he can tell that Claria is not a bad person. The same goes for him. He wouldn't tell the truth if someone suddenly asked him who he really is, and you can tell that they're alike. Since they're going on a trip, he discussed some things with the Nanom. Something along the lines of, the space trooper suit has a multi-sensor function. Can we increase that function with magic? If they had something like that, they would be able to immediately detect the presence of a living creature, whether on the ground or inside a structure. As for the use of this sensor, it utilized the special characteristics of magic. It seems that the amount of magic that is in each living organism is different. If he can detect it, then using this method can also distinguish between living organisms. Then what kind of method should he use? If he releases some magic from his body, It can be considered as an attack spread over the area. If it affects the magic of others, it will affect their behavior. Using the characteristic reaction of the magic of the reflexive magic will become a noticeable radar-like function. The good thing about this magical detection is that it can be activated even if the nanome is alone. Just by giving the activation command, the nanome can perform a sequence, and then a virtual window will open, even if it can only detect living beings and still favorable to them. Perhaps the amount of magic released by living creatures depends on the possible threat to their lives. Claria was shocked and asked to please teach her how to detect living creatures in the neighborhood. This magic is very handy, but it is impossible unless she has a sensor to detect magic or the nanome's ability to scan information. He turned off, telling her that she needed to improve her skills in magic. He asked her to stand something found. 2 bodies at 3 o'clock, about 200 meters alone. He still can't see anything. There must be. They are greyhounds. Claria asked the guy for permission to deal with one of them. Alan suggested to calm down for about 30 seconds. They still have about 30 seconds. He noted that the girl's sword was glowing. It was like a virtual game blade. They noticed and were already close by. Claria asked the guy how it went. He noted that she was good, but didn't think she had a vulnerable spot after that blow. That if she didn't kill him, it would be better if she was more careful next time. It was less and less common, but she wasn't surprised that he could use it, and he hoped it was normal for this world. The girl clarified if he wouldn't take the magic stone, but the guy didn't understand what kind of magic stone. A magic stone is a stone found in the body of monsters. Creatures who have magic stones in their bodies are monsters, while those who don't have magic stones are animals. Just as she mentioned, the development of the green creature he fought with that day doesn't possess any magic stones inside their bodies. What does she plan to do after she retrieves the magic stone? He can understand it in a city like the Grey Rider. Magic stone is not worth much. He thinks that somewhere in the chest area and something like a magic stone, and it's a crystallized mineral inside the body consisting of a lot of magic. Alan noted that it is a magic stone and the girl doesn't seem to know the exact price. He wondered how much he could sell it for. Nanome stated to set the detection range to a 700-meter radius higher than human vision, just in case he couldn't let her pursuer find them. Far from here, from the city of Gutanza, Kingdom of Verta. She said she came here to visit her relative. Why go to all this trouble just to see a relative? Now thinking about it, unless the armor is very expensively decorated, perhaps her family and above society and those people who were killed near the carriage, are they really messengers? Claria wondered what it was. Alan answered that it was a weapon. The girl did not understand how he used it. He showed her to hold it, so why aim if she pulls this trigger? The magical arrow will shoot from here. Well, the arrow is not visible to unarmed eyes. Claria was shocked. It's delicious magic. And she asked us if she could touch and taste it. Alan apologized, but no one but him can use it. Even if she tells her the biometric system, she still won't understand, and he can't let his only trump card be spent like this. He's got 980 rounds left. If he spends 100 rounds a year, he'll have enough for 10 years. Claria summarized that it was Alan's trump card, so she couldn't use it. Alan decided to clarify what magic tools are. They are tools that are used with magic. A tool that produces into water, fire, light, and so on. It seems that magic stones are used to power those tools. If that is the case, then magic stones are the energy storage for this planet. So there's a demand for magic stones. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and shouldn't they be looking for a place to sleep? Only question is whether they should go into the forest or along the river. Alan asked the girl what the signs say. Talus village is 2 kilometers away. Alan was surprised that there was a village nearby. He would like to visit it. He asked the girl if it would be good if they checked it out. Claria pointed out that it was normal to stop in villages when traveling with a companion, so it was okay. He understood her and offered to stay the night in the village. He would finally be able to meet other people besides the girl, and that's exactly what he needed. Alan noted that her direction 500 meters away from them, something is probably not a person. It was a boar and it was huge, the guy's first time seeing such a huge beast. Claria declared that she could handle it. He would cover her and let her use my arrows. However, the deception was so persistent. But it didn't get killed after all. Claria asked him what kind of magic it was. The guy just tried to use a one-shot fire arrow. The girl was surprised at just trying it and being able to use that so easily. She has to go a little further to the well. It consumes about the same amount of magical energy as the fireball. He knows and offered to bring this big boar back to the village as a souvenir. He's sure the villagers will like them. Alan sensed people in the village, and it seems there are about 200 people there. If not a significant reaction from the magic sensor, maybe a child or livestock. The man with the tower ordered them to stop and introduce themselves. Alan stated that they were travelers and thought they could stop in the village for a rest. The man saw Clary's outfit and couldn't believe it. Alan stated that they had killed a huge big boar not far away, and if they could help carry it, they could share it with him. The man clarified again about the big boar. Alan asked to look at this one, and there are many more. The men's husband called out that he would call the men and let them wait. They replied that there is no mistake. This big guy is a black spot. Alan clarifies, I recognize a big boar for them. The man stated that he had already killed a couple of their men. The man ordered a guy named Beck and told him to go and get 10 men and bring the cart with them. He also clarified if it was true that they would share it with them. Yes, just give them their portion for dinner and breakfast. Do they really want the residents to take more of a portion? Alan agreed that yes. It would be nice if they shared the canned goods with them, and it would be nice if they gave them a place to sleep. They were getting a real bargain here. Claria introduces herself to Rhea and also introduces the guy and says they're straight up grateful. She's using an alias because of the harassment. The man thanked them. He stated that these people were guests of their village. They had killed black spots and wanted to share their meat. Today they were celebrating. The man noted that they could sit here and let them pour their tea. Once again, he is pleased to meet them. He is the chief of this village, Zach. He welcomed in the village of Talus. Zach noted that Alan was quick to settle. The chief's wondering how he killed the black spots. Magic shot him right in the head when he attacked them. Does anyone in this village have magic? Zach doesn't. Looks like no one here has magic. With a cleaver like that boar's gonna be butchered for the rest of the day. They won't make it to the feast. Alan suggested that Zach take and use this to cut meat. This magical weapon is so sharp that it cuts through bones like butter. Zach asked if it was a magic weapon. Alan pointed out that it was, only he had to be careful. The men were amazed. The thing shreds meat like paper. He was given the first drink he tasted on this planet. Alan liked it. It was tasty and similar to green tea. It's so delicious, by the way. They can give him some of those tea leaves. Zach agreed. He likes tea too, as he wondered if they should sell it in town. Alan stated that naturally, he would buy some immediately. Claria agreed that it was indeed delicious. Zach wondered what Alan's view was. The boy replied that there was a good reason. It was his only clothing. It's all right. Maybe he didn't know the village specializes in and makes clothes. If he says yes, they'll pick out a suit for him. Zach said another word the boy doesn't know, and it seems they'll make clothes for him. Alan declared that he would be so happy. Of course he would cry for him. Zach suggested that they leave it as is and things would wait until tomorrow. They could go rest and celebrate. Some boy complimented Alan on something from killing blackpots. After all, it was his father's enemy. Alan apologized for his father. He had avenged him so he could eat the meat of that thing wholeheartedly. He wondered how many villagers this boar had killed. Zach stated that the 6 of them couldn't leave this village in peace. Honestly, he helped them a lot. Alan's glad he could help, as the knight asked who he was traveling with. Alan didn't quite understand where he was coming from. Zach noted that the girl said how, doesn't he know that he is the one who is always there and takes care of the knight? Alan's ordered an update on the linguistic basis of who the word servant means. He thinks he can call him a servant. Rhea, and he only met a month ago, so he doesn't really know how to use magic. Zach asked how well my knight is with the ball. Alan replied that she can handle 2 goblins at the same time, and Zach said that's incredible. The girl declared that the guy just had to try it. It turned out to be an absolute delight, a particularly rustic holiday dish, and a proud one at that. Alan had never eaten such good meat in her life. Zach asked if he could have alcohol, and the boy agreed to 1 glass. As he thought, the meat goes great with wine. Zach asked if they were going to Gathania on foot, which the guy confirmed. Alan pointed out that he had said too much. Zach asked Beck to come over. pulled out whether he could go with them. It's his son. Every 6 months, they go there to sell the crops to the village. As a countermeasure against monsters and bandits, they take about 15 strong men to drive there, but they can't load a lot of goods, so it's not efficient or profitable. Now here is a professional knight and he who can kill blackpots with his magic, and they both head to Gotania. Since they aren't going to the same place, how about we play them? On a van to Gothania. Take off will be Beck and another guy. Can they go together and be their bodyguards? Not the fact that they can guide them down the road, and also they have to go there immediately like Zach said. It's not a problem. And Claria doesn't care at all. Well, it's just so long as they get back. It's okay, they'll find adventurers when they ride back to the village, and anyway, they always hire them. Alan wondered what kind of adventurers they were. Some kind of mercenaries. He clarified if everything is fine, they just met yesterday, they already trust them with their son's life. Zach has an eye for such people and can safely look for what he trusts in him. Alan replied that they agreed to accompany him to Gothania. Zach thanked. He was glad to hear it, but he was afraid they could repay them for the job. Alan asked not to quit. They are already grateful for the vans and they are fine with it. Zach remembers and clarifies that about the costumes they talked about. Maid costumes and in the village are quite popular. Alan accepts his offer. The chief was pleased and the deal was done and they decided to have another drink. Beck greeted Alan and here he is back at him. He dragged off as they set off. Beck replied that they want to leave before lunch and also his father is definitely looking for him. Alan headed toward him from the chieftain and told the girls that he was going to go look for the driver and would be right back. The guys greeted the chief. He had heard he was looking for him. Zach asked him to pick out any items he wanted. Alan thanked him and thought about what he should choose. Rhea decided to help him and he can rely on her. The size is perfect, yes, and it is comfortable to move. Claria said that when they got to town, she'd pick out another outfit for him. The boy thanked him, but he was fine with that. They saw the sacks and asked what the cargo was. Beck replied that it was cotton and that the village specializes in it. Alan remembered that he had heard about it yesterday. He had nothing to cover it with. What would he do if it rained? Beck winds up that they will solve problems on the spot. This guy is his childhood friend Thor, and also the deputy coachman for this trip. Alan is excited to meet him. Zach asked his son not to make it public, but he said something to the effect that he knows. Maybe he asked Alan to take care of his son and he told him to rely on them. They will make it to Gotania without any problems. Yesterday, he'd heard that it was a 20-day ride by horseback to Gothania, and it was faster than she'd thought. Alan asked Beck how far he planned to travel. He noted that they had left the village late, so they would probably have to camp for the night, and he knew a good place. Alan warned the girl that the goblins were 500 meters away, course for 11 o'clock. They've spotted them and are on their way. Alan tells Beck to set up the van. The goblins attack and the girl gets rid of them. Claria fire arrows and got rid of the enemies. She used magic as fast as a flash as expected from Miss Knights. The girl replied that she wasn't that good, but the boys urged her not to be shy. Alan encouraged them to rest. She and the girl would keep an eye on the situation, and the two of them could take a nap. It's okay. They're both coachmen and they're their bodyguards. Let them do their job properly. Beck stated that he understood and they are under their protection. Alan asked the girl too from, "It's okay, his detection magic will immediately notice any movement." Alan left it at Nan. He wondered if he should get a job as they arrived. 20 days had passed since they had left Talus, Gotania nearby. Nothing strange had happened except for the encounter with the goblins. Alan had informed the girl that the 13 people 1.5 meters away from them might be bandits. The girl was amazed that he could determine such a distance, either it was a bandit or else. It looks like they are trying to watch the area but have already split up and are trying to surround them. Could it be an ambush? Could there be Gothania guards on such an empty road? Claria doesn't know for sure but thinks there's a much higher chance of bandits showing up. There's no turning back. She and Alan will be able to hold 13 men. There is no way out, but they have to keep going. Beck praised the boys. He stated that it was beautifully marvelous. Alan noted that the girl used magic without closing her eyes. He wondered how she had learned to use magic. The girl studied it by reading books and memorizing spells. Usually, if you do not perform the ritual as it is written in the spell book step by step, the magic is not activated. For example, Fireball consists of 17 steps, while Fire Arrow takes 50 steps of ritual to activate. So, to use magic, you had to do a few dozen steps in your head. She'd never heard of anyone using magic just by using a mental image like Alan. So the only way to convey a complex image are the steps written in books. Does this mean that by learning magic through spellbooks, she loses her essence? Alan noted that the girl's next task is to shorten the time to activate magic without reaching out. How much energy she could release if it were faster and brighter, and one must try to use magic not following the steps of the spellbooks using only a mental image. The girl would try a mental image of imagination. Alan replied that it was a high-speed spell, but it didn't hit the target. The next time the girl succeeded, she spun. The spell itself is homing. The girl came up with it using a mental image. However, it will not lose. Beck was shocked to hear about 13 people. Of course, he had never seen anyone with such amazing magic, but still 13 men. Could they really defeat them? Alan's answer is, they'll have no problem attacking these bandits. If there is evidence and testimony, even if they kill them, they won't be prosecuted. Besides, he heard that he will get a reward and bring these bandits alive to the guards, so they can get money for them. Beck clarified that means they are really planning to get the money for them. Alan replied that it's okay. They can trust them. They should buy souvenirs for everyone in the village when they get the reward. Thor encouraged his friend to leave it all to their bodyguards. Beck agreed. Alan assured that everything would be fine and they would take care to protect them. They still had another 200 meters to go. You have to watch out for arrows and magic that might fly at them, and they'll deal with the bandits using his rifle. He's still not sure of his magic. Another 50 meters. There's 2 in the tree. The girls are not worth attacking. He will start first. Alan urged them not to attack until he did first. One of the bandits urged the boss to look at the baby. The boss stated that they would take care of her and sell her for a high price if she was still a virgin. Alan bloody well is. The men stated he was an idiot and didn't realize because of what they looked like, they were bandits. Alan attacked them and ordered the girl to destroy them. He noted that it seemed to go well. Beck that it's amazing he's the best. To be able to manifest 13 fire arrows at the same time, moreover, not all hit the target. Alan was inspired by her magic, so he tried to do it again. The girl behind Yulia that it is adorable and Scan please teach her next time? Alan inquired about someone failing. The man sent him let him not think he could get away with it. Alan clarified what he meant. One way or another, they would turn a blind eye if they released them. They would even give them their weapons. They didn't seem to understand. He said to surrender their jewelry, and depending on the value, he would consider letting them go. They left everything in the shelter, and they don't have anything with them. Alan envied that then I would be very bad. He would go check their shelter, then think about releasing them. After that, he asked where their hideout was. One of the bandits answered that if he walks 5 kilometers in that direction, he will start on the traces of a nest of goblins. There is their shelter. Ordered him to close the mitten. Alan clarified how many hunters are there. There are a couple of them and the merchant they just stole from. The boss called the guy a bloody moron. The salesman says he owns a big chain store. I couldn't get a huge ransom for him. Alan for what they would look at him. After that, he told the girl he was going to go look at the shelter and that's okay. He'd be right back. He turned to the guys and said that if they didn't get rowdy, they knew what to do. This was a chance to try out the sword technique the girl had taught them. Alan remarked that they'd just as soon be slaughtered. He noted that if the guys would behave suspiciously, let him put them to his magic, and he would leave them to it. After that, the guy used the long-distance running modes. He approached the 2 guys and asked them what they were surprised by the bandits. They asked him what kind of clown he was, and if he wanted to die. Alan went inside and saw a man. He stated that he was not one of the bandits he had heard from others, so he came to rescue him. The man thanked. He sees that the guy is one of the bandits. Maybe he is a traveler. No, but some trader's price or as a guard. Then they were attacked by bandits when they disarmed them. Started asking them for information about him and the hideout. The merchant thanked them for dropping their plans to save him, and he will definitely pay them back for it. Alan said that no, it was true that he had sent him here to save him, and that he was more interested in the jewels that were in this hideout. The merchant noticed what an honest guy he was and apologized for the late introduction. He is the merchant Terrace. The guy also introduced himself and clarified if all these things belonged to him. The merchant replied that most of them did, but that there was money in that crate. Alan asked if the box was his. No, but he thinks that some of his money is inside that box, but all belonging to the bandit rightfully belongs to the one who defeated them. This reward is in accordance with the laws, but he doesn't know where they keep the key for him. Alan opened the key with his knife. The merchant was surprised to find out if it was a magic tool. Oh, this is amazing. He will return all these items back to him except this box. The merchant asked if he was sure, but as he mentioned, he couldn't thank him properly. Alan stated he didn't need to, and pulled out if he had any companions. Terrace replied that he had 1 employee and 5 travelers who were with him, but they had all been killed. He had known long enough. These bandits would pay for their crimes. He would take care of it, then check with the traders to find out where his wagon was. They only took his trunk, and it turns out they had already sold his horse for money. Alan replied that this was a problem as their wagon was already fully loaded. The trader offered to pick up the stuff tomorrow, and now they are on the mountain, so there should be no problem. He motioned for the merchant to return as a van. Alan clarified the girl was in trouble, to which she replied that everything was fine and clarified who the man was. Alan introduced that it was the terrace merchant the bandits had caught him from who had rescued him. The man introduced himself that he was from General Merchandise and was very happy to meet her. He is sure that he was acting differently when he talked to the guy. Alan stated to the gentleman that he was sorry he couldn't find anything of interest at their hideout. In that case, he asks them to go with them to Gotania, clarified that they all know about his magic abilities, and even if they die, he can still get the reward. The bandit was arguing. Alan turned to Beck and Thor. They need to use the tattoo to create these bandits. He doesn't care if they bleed, they need to be tied up very tightly. He asked Rhea to keep an eye on them. The girl replied that it was no problem. It looks like these bandits have a frame on their backs, and that's right since Alan used magic on them. Each of them in the same place, it's amazing. Also decided to inquire about the girl. Did he also mistake her for his servant? Brake said that she was some kind of unknown knight. Alan did not understand what the word did not say, for there was a reason for it. Beck asked the boy to do something with the money they took from them. Alan put it in a bag here. It was a lot of money, and he offered to split it equally later. Beck said that he had earned it. It's all right. They risked their lives for it too. He suggested we talk about it later, and the sides put the bandits' weapons in the van. They drive out. The guys had seen her already. It was Gotania. Alan clarified if they needed a permit to enter the city. The merchant clarified if he was not a member of the guild. He had heard from Beck and Thor that a guild was an organization of famous adventurers or merchants. He replied that he was not a member. If he was a member of a guild, he could use a special card to enter the city. But if he is not a member of any guild, he thinks he has to make a deposit to get a temporary pass. Seed coin per person, and later they have to go to the guild, register there to get a guild card. If they show them their card, they will refund their deposit. Alan clarified that they would need to pay to join. If one gives in to a genius, they have to give 5 silver. I also know for them where the nearest public bathhouse is. Baths are usually included in upscale hotels, but regular hotels don't have them. Without going to a hotel, how about staying in mansions? Of course, he has them all in mind. They are, after all, visitors to his life, and people who avenged his employee and travelers who were with him. Cleria thought it would be rude to refuse the offer, and thanked him for his kindness. Alan thanked him, dragged him away, and if he had a bathhouse there. Trading appeared that they could also count on a nice lunch. Alan informed Beck that they were not staying at the Taurus mansion today. There would even be lunch there. The guards noted that there were so many people. Were they really bandits they had caught themselves? Terrace greeted Captain Roman. The captain didn't recognize him. Why the questionnaires in this wagon? What was it for his trade group was attacked by the bandits behind him? His employee and the other 5 adventurers were killed. The bandits let him live with them for ransom, and then these men rescued him. The captain asked for such a predicament to please rest him at the guard post. He also stated that this kid has been waiting for him here for the 3rd day. Some girl turned to the master and asked if he was all right, and so happy, everyone was very worried. It's safe now, and these 4 saved his life. He invited them to stay with him and let her tell the others to give them a warm welcome. This is a temporary certificate that guarantees their identity. As for the Do Bandits, they're taking notes for the prosecution, so the bounty will be settled in 2 days. Alan understood and thanked them. The man turned to the master and made that they had come to pick him up. The merchant recognized Jonas. He apologized to him for causing so much trouble. Terrace asked Alan to take a seat. It was much more comfortable to travel on than riding a load. Alan asked Beck to follow the wagon. Considering the attitudes of the garrison, she would say that Terrace is quite an influential man in this town. It didn't seem like it. Back at the house, everyone greeted the master, to which the merchant apologized to them all for making them worry. Terrace ordered everyone to listen. These people saved his life. Alan, Rhea, and Beck need to take care of them. They were invited inside. First of all, how would they like to take a bath? Rhea would go first. Alan asked not to worry. There were enough baths for everyone, and the maid asked Miss Rhea to go in. Beck was tasked with how many baths there are in this mansion. You are so beautiful. The water here is so warm, and it seems to be up to the first time to wash in such hot water. They had also prepared new clothes for them. Everyone had already changed. Beck made that girl look unmatched and unrecognizable. Clarius stated that he was so rude and decided to ask Alan what she thought. Alan didn't know what she was going to ask and had to think of something. He replied that it suited her very well. The girl became embarrassed. She had forced him to compliment her, and now she was embarrassed herself. Terrace apologized for making her wait. The woman next to him was Terrace's wife, Lana. This is her son, Carter, and her daughter, Tara. The boys also introduced themselves. Lana thanked them for saving her husband. If it wasn't for them, he would have surely died. Alan stated that there was no need for thanks, and all day they just did what they needed to do. Terrace noted that the acquaintance was over, and they shouldn't worry about formalities. They should enjoy themselves and have fun. Alan was asked if he liked the food. Yes, all the dishes are great. Cooking is his hobby, and if they don't mind, they could tell him the seasonings they used for these dishes. Of course, Terrace is a merchant at the department store, and he has a lot of different seasonings. Lana noted how small the chance of meeting someone whose hobby is cooking. Lately, he had only been cooking meat dishes, but when he was in his country, he made sweets and many other things. Lana stated that it was wonderful, and if he didn't mind, he could make some for them tomorrow. Daughter turned to her father and stated that there was an apostle in Gothania 2 days ago, but her brother stated that it was not yet known if there was an apostle or not. Terrace asked Carter's son what he meant. 2 days ago, a bird similar in size to a wyvern had flown through the skies of Gothania, and after that, the city had not been quiet. He didn't understand why they called it an apostle. Alan noted that there was a monster like the wyvern on this planet, and also an apostle. 3 days ago, John's company's sales team was attacked by nearly a dog on the floor. At the same time, a bird appeared and apparently saved them. Since then, traders say that the birds are the apostle Isaac, whom the goddess Lumina holds on her shoulder. It's the most interesting rumor in all of Gothania. Apparently, there are rumors like that around here. Whatever they say, the apostle doesn't exist. It's probably just an unknown monster passing by. If that monster shows up again, maybe he should shoot it with his rifle. If it's very rare, he might be able to get a good amount of money from it. He asked Beck and Thor which company he didn't plan to sell his cargo to. Beck replied about Simon's company. Carter stated that according to his fellow merchants, it is not such a good company. Goes to Ufa that they buy products at a very low price, then the market will sell them at a higher price to customers. He clarified if they have signed any contract with this company. No, they haven't, but since his grandfather's time, they have been selling materials in bulk only to Simon's company. They've also known the previous owner of Simon's company for a long time. He was a very nice guy. After the change of ownership, the company's reputation was exploited. Wouldn't you like to say that the prices of both have fallen recently? Carter said that just the opposite has been true of cotton prices lately, and if he doesn't mind, can they price their shipment tomorrow? If they're satisfied with the price, they'll sell it to them. Beck thanked him. Wouldn't that make them look like traitors to Simon's company? Carter said it's not a problem if they have something to say to this one's face. Alan will think it's a problem to bargain without AI. Claria didn't realize what the guy was talking about, that there was no big deal. They decided to continue their conversation tomorrow. We ran out of drinks and had to carry more. Altogether, it comes to 219,942 guineas, Beck's share. But the henchman couldn't bring the money because he had legally earned it by raiding the bandits' hideout. But didn't Beck risk his life with them? At that time, they only followed the bandits. After that, he will go his own way, won't he, and he will need the money. Alan thanked him. He would gladly take the lead as they agreed, but he must get his share of the reward. Beck understood. Thank him. Rhea, check with the guys to see if they've made up their minds yet. Beck was surprised to see someone here. I didn't notice it because I was absorbed in counting the money. Let's forget about what they plan to do after this. He thought about going to the Adventure Guild to register there. After all, an ID is necessary. Well, can't do that together later. But first they need to buy some armor and weapons. She wanted to do this from the very beginning of the journey. By gear, she meant that the advanced armor they wore, whether it would be too heavy for their journey. If it's power armor, he would love to wear it. If he's going to a guild to look for or adventure, they can do that after he buys some stuff. Beck had heard there was some sort of test match to test his strength and skills. If he doesn't like metal armor, there is also leather armor he can wear. Leather armor is much easier to move around in, so it would be best if they buy some armor and before they go to the guild, maybe they should go to a good armor store. Also, when they get back, she would need to talk to him about something important. Alan understood the girl, but he was curious as soon as he got back. This is Mr. Carter's armory. Since they are friends of Terrace, will be able to buy armor at a reduced price. Alan apologized to the girl for wasting her time on them, and was welcomed into the store. The guy handed over a note and stated that she needed armor. He needed something light. He needs to show his fighting spirit to the one who saved the master, because he just said they needed armor. The leather stuff is the right choice. They had something that would fit him, but they are so similar. Because of the raw material of which the armor is made of course, for the cheap ones, orc leather is used. For the more expensive ones, wyvern leather is used. This is logical as the leather is of the highest quality. After all, it is a magical thing. It is creatures such as faithful dragons that use magical power to fly in the sky. When they return attack, her skin becomes harder for protection. This armor has the same properties. He pointed him the mono-magic stone. The magic runs through all the armor from the magic stone, and now part of the armor is soft. But if it hits the planet, the magic will instantly make that place harder. But this armor is resistant to eternal attacks, and also since the armor consumes magic power, it requires magic stones. Alan said that this thing, well, it is that when it is quite weak when it comes to chopping and so on, and besides, it uses magic power so naturally that wastes magic stones. The guy clarified how you can tell how much magic is left in a stone. It can be determined by the color of the stone. If the magic power completely disappears, magic stone becomes transparent. Alan, can you buy the armor right now? The men said that the armor still needed some adjustments, which would take about 2 days. Alan noted that it was taking so long, and the men asked if they had an event coming up. The guy replied that after that, he would like to work in the gasoline looking for adventure. And the man realized that he was talking about the ranking test. It's a test where they won't watch actual kills to determine what rank you are. Even if you get a high grade, he'll still be given a rank of C. He could lend him a medium-level leather armor. Alan said that would be nice and asked how much for it. The man will give it to him for free. No need to pay for it. And by the way, he still hasn't introduced himself. His name is Zark. Alan also introduced himself and the girl. The man wondered if the armor she was wearing was mithril or something else. The girl confirmed that it was mithril. Zark was amazed. The armor is definitely made of mithril. He can tell that the guy who makes it and must be quite experienced. Zark asked Alan if the young lady was a case and called her a word he didn't understand. It's that word again. When will he learn its meaning? Alan calls out that it could be, and he's not sure. Zark sees that the guy has his reasons, but it could cause trouble if he walks around town dressed like that. She'll be attacked immediately if he lets her wander around town alone. Alan did not understand if this armor was so expensive. The men replied that of course it cost about 400,000 hryvnias. Besides, the design of this one lady's armor is that of an Orthodox knight. If some random guy strikes, immediately say that you are young and again called her a word that Alan does not know. Alan, let me see if I can make this armor not look like mithril. If they darkened the answer, it would be hard to distinguish. But it was a waste of time. He wouldn't recommend it. Alan asked what she thought about it, but it turned out she didn't care. He ordered to make the material not look like mithril, and to change the design to look like adventurer's armor. I wonder how much it'll cost and how long it'll take. Zark, for something such a waste, it will take 3 days and cost him 5,000 rivnia. Then we'll not leave the girl's armor here after he returns from the guild and adventurers, and they will come to pick up their armor in 3 days. About the armor is decided, and now they go to the Guild of Adventurers. Alan apologized, but would like to register as adventurers. They were asked if it was just the 2 of them, which the guy confirmed. The girl behind the counter asked them to fill out this form. Claria stated that she would fill it out. Alan A. said that he should at least learn a letter. He ordered Nanoma memorize the letters if he read a couple of books well where combat by them. The girl is more precise whether they have specified their skills. Girls sure well they need to pay 5 silver coins per person as a registration fee. Now they have to take a test so that they can evaluate their skills. And in Geldi, there are different sets of quests that are categorized by rank and difficulty. There are such ranks as F, E, D, C, B, A, S. Adventurers with rank F can perform quests no higher than rank E. Daily quests are posted here. Assignments are posted on the date of receipt, must be completed by the deadline. And there are cases when the customer himself chooses the adventurers who need to complete the task. There are also compulsory assignments, but they appear only in an emergency situation. The guys understand everything, then she will prepare tests for them. They can read the terms and conditions of their guild. The guy asked to read these rules and parallels show where she reads. The girl didn't understand why, but the guy admitted that he wanted to learn a few words. The girl asked him if he could just memorize them. He asked her to just say them out loud without slowing down. Some girl informed the others that promising people had finally come to them, although their words had not been confirmed yet. But still. They must have decided that the strong ones were actually pathetic milksops. One of them is a very cute girl, which is rare, then he should take her training on. Despite being on the small one, puts on the best armor and most likely a knight. So why she thought they had some potential. The girl noted that this girl's sword skill is at level 6, level 10, and fire magic is at 8 out of 10. It didn't matter how confident they were, it was too much. The second one is even more incredible. His sword skill is 10 out of 10 and fire magic too. They are just like gods. When was the last time they met guys who overestimated their strength? It was a long time ago, and if you look to find newbies to have something to chat about. The man stated that they were the examiners in charge of them and their rank test. If he is a sword expert, to test his skill, they will have a friendly sparring session on wooden swords. Whether he wins or loses, he will be judged on his actions during the fight, so he needs to give his best. First up will be Claria. She's been ordered to come forward and the guy wishes her luck. What is she looking at? An amateur looking for the right time to attack? Well, they will check it out. Alan noted if he would open up to her so much at this distance. They were told that was enough. During their journey, Claria practiced sword fighting with Alan constantly. He taught her only long and combo attacks, and that was only because he used those attacks in the VR games, and they were quite popular. He specifically showed her the moments when a person was open, and each time, she practiced these attacks at the moment of opening. Thanks to that, his defense also improved. The motion to the examiner is similar to the ones he showed her before, and whether he underestimated her too much. Now they will test her magical abilities, and need to use magic to hit 5 targets. Never mind that she uses fire magic, the test will test her speed of creating and spell and hitting targets as well as marksmanship. She hit everything in only 8 seconds, just like he thought she did. So they thought she hit the targets not at the same moment. The man stated that was enough. They didn't realize what the hell had just happened now. Did she really that bad? Was it bad that she started to cast the spell before the test started, though she didn't cast the spell out loud? The man winded that well, the magic test was over, and now they would test Alan, his magical abilities. The guy stated that he hoped he would be fine if he'd just created a spell. Now they don't want to test his skill at the line with the ball. Alan looked at the opponent who is not attacking. He became more cautious after seeing Claria's skills. The guy can't help anything after that. He threw everything right at him. The man for what enough, they will tell the results later, and he asked them to wait next to the front desk. The guys did not realize who it was. Better remember himself because he was shaking with fear. What the hell was he doing dueling? And the movement of that guy with the ball, did they see? And their magic to say magnificent would not be enough to describe the full power. Creating 10 fire arrows is even more than what an A rank can do. Looks like they're not as new as they thought after all. And in any case, they're definitely not new to Mayu. They didn't grow beyond all expectations. There was a question of what rank to assign them. The man said she was a B rank adventurer, and he got his ass kicked so easily, he wouldn't recognize them for anything. The men said that even without a vote, everyone would agree that these guys would be C rank. The stagnant girl handed them their guild cards and said that they had been assigned a C rank. She asked them to please carry it with them at all times. If they lost it, they would need to restore it for 3,000 rhinas. That was the end of the guild registration, and maybe they still had some questions. Alan read the rules, and it said that a C rank could not accept assignments for 7 months. The girl confirmed it was true, and the storage would be reduced little by little. Alan, what he's in for? He doesn't care. It's not that important. The girl to clarify if they do not care about the rank of a man like him with such skills, he will be overwhelmed with tasks. Alan said he'd think about it and called Ryu and Willie with him. He thanked them and it would be quicker than he thought. Willie stated that they had done a good job. Suddenly, someone called out for Miss Claria. It was a girl named Helena. Ono didn't realize what she was doing in a place like this. Helena was so glad she was okay. Alan said he didn't care, but they were attracting too much attention. Helena called him a puppy and told him who he was so he wouldn't touch her miss. Claria asked the girl to step back. Anyway, let them go to the shop and return this armor. Then they can go back to the manor. This is Lady Helena. From their conversation, he already realized what she was. Claria and he must have something to talk about, perhaps something he shouldn't know about. He was curious about what the girls were talking about. He could use a phone, but he wouldn't stoop to that level. Alan turned to Willie and apologized for asking him to do this, but he could check if Jonas was busy, if he was free. Jonas asked if there was anything he needed. The thing is that Claria met some people she knows in the guild, and they have something to talk about. So if it's not too much trouble, could they let him stay in the room where Rhea lives now? Jonas calls out that of course guests and guests are their guest. He clarified whether to make tea. Alan apologized for everything. Now they could continue in Miss Rhea's room. The girl understood and thanked him. He just remembered he had told him about the candy. If it was possible, he would like to make it now. Jonas noted that he had spoken to Madame about it, and now he would take him to the kitchen. Alan must cook a masterpiece because he said cooking was his hobby, although maybe he should have kept quiet. This is the kitchen that Madame and Miss Tara use. I'll have the ingredients and all the cooking utensils ready. Alan asked what kind of sweets they made in town. Jonas found this one made with wheat flour, and it tastes sweet. It looks like the sweets in this town are cookies, but that's hardly all. They store ingredients that need to be cold. It's a magical tool for storing things that spoil too quickly. Alan was surprised that such a thing existed and asked about something else. Jonas said that it is a magical tool that creates fire and is used like this. Alan, would you like something like that too? They have some in their stores. The guy said that there is meat, dried fish, dried eggs, butter, milk, and cheese. With these ingredients, he could make something interesting. Jonas wondered what it was he made. The guy replied that it was called pudding and if he wanted to try it. The man remarked that it was so sweet it was the first time he had ever tasted something like it. If it cools down a bit, it will look and taste better. Jonas will be looking forward to it. Rhea checked with the guy if he has a minute. She wondered where Beck and Thor were. They're somewhere in town shopping for stuff with the money they made selling stuff. The girl apologized for not telling him about her situation until now. The boy replied that it was all right. She already had a reason. She already said that her name was Claria Starvin, but she was born in a neighboring country called the Kingdom of Starvik. He didn't understand what she meant. The girl said she was someone in the kingdom, but he didn't understand what the word was. Helena understood what was wrong with this guy. Claria told her not to talk about Sir Corinth like that. He didn't know the language of this state until a month ago, and it's normal that he doesn't know some words. Claria said the word means daughter of the king, so she is a princess. He thought she was an aristocrat or something, but why would a princess end up in a place like this? There's a good reason for all this. Her Highness was called to a certain office, and Clary asked her father if he called her. The king apologized for summoning her so unexpectedly. The man standing next to her noted that they hadn't seen the girl for a long time. It may be unexpected for her, but she should check out the northern part of the country. Of course, the girl doesn't mind, but why is he asking for it? The man next to her asked if he thought it was better to tell her everything. Claria was not a child anymore. The king turned to a guy named Alf and told him to tell him everything. The girl knows that he is inspecting the southern part of the country. This part of the kingdom is under the control of the nobles of the past kingdom of Alios. This kingdom was annexed by their kingdom 162 years ago. This region is still ruled by the nobles who were nobles in the Alios kingdom, but that's why there is no conflict over different principles of faith. The king has made a friendly policy of making these aristocrats owners of the southern and western lands, but sometimes there are suspicious activities in those places. At that time, they didn't think they could start a rebellion, and so he asks her to check the northeast. The girl said that she takes the responsibility of inspecting the eastern and northern lands of the country. Fal ran up to the princess and asked why I had summoned the king. The princess shared that her father wanted her to check the eastern and northern lands and asked if the knight would go with her. Fal, of course, said yes. Alf that he hoped her assignment would go smoothly. The girl agreed and stated that now it was time for them to go. And so she drove through the capital of the kingdom of about 500,000 people and began her inspection. At first glance, the inspection showed nothing, but the nobles below the barons in rank are up to something. It's starting to look more and more like something's not right. It had been 3 months since she had left the capital. Her mother and brother had done most of her inspection. They had come suddenly at that time. Fal heard a knock and asked who was there. She was answered something by the king's guard, Dalstum. The count arrived wanting an audience with Her Highness. He refused, but he kept insisting. Fal asked him to please wait for a moment. She turned to Her Highness. The man apologized to Her Highness for calling her at this hour. The girl replied that it was all right and she was listening to him. He tried to arrive as quickly as possible on his horse and the capital, for there was a riot in it. The princess clarified the extent of it. He apologized, but doesn't know the exact figures, but about 60 or 70% of the south from the western nobles, and about 20 or 30% of the east and north. Also, about 50% of the army. More than half of all the nobles and the army. The princess clarified which side Earl was on. The man stated that she was his favorite niece, Claria. The Ludovic family had been around for about 300 years, and he was very proud of his loyalty to not only the Starwick kingdom, but also the Starwin family. Her words really hurt him. Claria asked her uncle to please forgive her for her words. She was just a bit taken aback by the news. It all started 20 days ago when the king summoned the Minister of the Army, Sir Louis. His orders were ignored, and 2 days later, Louis led an army to lead a rebellion. The capital was surrounded by soldiers and fell in 3 days. Claria worriedly asked what happened to her father, mother, and brother. They were publicly beheaded right in front of the royal castle on charges of selling the country to the Holy Kingdom of Aram. The girl said that no, that can't be true. The Holy Kingdom of Aram is just a country bordering us that sometimes invades our territory to intimidate us. He knows, but no one believes it. Not enemies, not allies. Claria said to return to the capital as soon as possible. Earl replied to Her Highness that the best thing she could do at the moment was to use her authority as a princess and persuade the northern and eastern nobles to prepare for battle. Of course, but half an army now on the enemy's side wouldn't be able to do anything. She apologized to her uncle. The blood rushed to her head and she lost control of her emotions. He understands her and they dishonored and killed his teacher and his beloved little sister. He wants revenge on them too. The next day, the princess sent the letter, and the knights took them to all the northern and eastern nobles. Then, on the morning of the 3rd day after sending the letter, she realized that something was wrong, too slow. No reinforcements or return letters. She had a bad feeling, and on the 4th morning, a nobleman showed up with an army. It was Baron Alson, her right-hand man and her uncle. He was overjoyed that Her Highness was all right. He thanked the goddess Luminous. The princess replied that it had been a long time since they had seen the Baron, and that he meant he was glad she was all right. He apologized because he didn't know she was here. She didn't understand if he hadn't received any letters. It seemed that he hadn't, and after he heard the news from the capital, he asked Earl about the next steps, but he didn't get any answers, so he headed here. Earl A. cursed these scumbags had spent them, and there was no way the messengers couldn't deliver her letters. This time, they'd outsmarted them, and he was sure they'd been planning it for years. Most likely, the dead are similar to the messengers that the guards are on the roads and attacked the messengers. At the same moment, some scouts were sent to check this, and their goal was to drop off the culprits. After the scouting party returned and then left again. Slowly, they must not have started to realize the situation. The army against the enemy had about 40,000 soldiers. The armies of the southern and western nobles joined the main force. They sent small groups of troops to surround the castles of the nobles who showed resistance. The main forces were slowly advancing towards these places. They had already deeply invaded the northern and eastern lands. Even if any of the nobles joined in, they could easily be wiped out on their way here. All bad news, and what's more, they still had 5,000 fewer soldiers, even if they had allied with the Allies. They had recently received word that Count Davila's castle had fallen, and it would take the enemy about half a day to arrive. Cleria has declared that even if they don't lose, they will give them a fight. This is a bold decision in the spirit of the Starain family, but Her Highness wants the girl to run. The princess was indignant at this nonsense. Does he really want her to do such a dishonorable thing? Earl has declared that this is not to be happiness. He wants her to go to the kingdom of Verta. In this kingdom, Irena, the younger sister of her grandmother and her mother Erica, has become the wife of the king, which means that the king of Verta, Amand, is her cousin. She dragged away whether he wanted her to go to this kingdom for help. He confirmed it, but not in any case, not in time to assist them in this battle. However, if Her Highness harasses the king, the likelihood of approval for help is very slim. But he still wants to hope for it. In that case, they should leave together. They should rebuild the kingdom together. Earl disagreed. As the first vassal of the Starwind family, he should stay and let her please let him take revenge. The girl replied that if they surrendered to them. Earl turned to Her Highness and said that given the relationship between their families, they had no reason to keep him alive. Even if they let him live, the fact that he would be accused of betrayal was obvious. And if she stays here, she won't be able to help in the battle anyway. Her contribution will be literally zero. Should we do as he says and hope for a small chance? Earl agreed to do it. Plus, there was an assignment his teacher had asked him to do. The girl asked him to tell her about him. I have the blood of his Ludovic family running through me as proof of their family's loyalty to the Starains for over 300 years. He would ask that she one day resurrect the Ludovic family. Cleria understands him, and she will see to it that she restores the Ludovic family whose blood runs in her, and she swears to the goddess Luminous. She had a chance to escape. Her Highness said they've divided the royal guard into 8 groups and will move out at the same time. Of course, no one will know which carriage she'll be in. They will go to the kingdom of Sicilia and Verta. Most people will think they are going to Sicilia, which is very close to here. And surprisingly, the rebel army on the roads to those kingdoms will not be their troops. No doubt they will follow them, but it is unlikely they will be able to follow all 8 carriages heading in different directions. Earl asked Her Highness to please take this before the fall of the castle kingdom. He received a letter from Her Majesty the Queen and His Highness her brother. He deeply apologizes for delivering this letter so late. Earl asked the goddess Luminous to please see to Cleria's safety. Ever since Alan had told her that spirits had appeared inside her body, she had stood and tried to talk to them, but she'd never heard back from them. It would be cool if she could communicate with the spirits like Alan. She would like to thank the spirits for restoring her arm and leg. The girl wondered what she needed to do to talk to them. Alan stated that he didn't know. He could have been talking to them from the beginning, so he didn't know how it worked. She had a feeling that even Alan didn't know. It's probably because he was chosen by the goddess Luminous, so it's perfectly normal for him to communicate with spirits. So he can even talk to them now. Of course he can. If he mentally speaks to them, they will respond immediately. Cleria stated, "That's amazing." Then he could thank them for restoring her arm and leg. Alan told them, and the girl wondered what they replied. They told him, "So true." She clarified what they meant by that. It means, "Understood. You may not repeat it." That's usually what villains mean. The girl asked him to be polite to spirits. He should watch how he talks to them. Alan said he would be careful. She is not sure if he understood exactly what she said, but she is sure that the spirits heard what he said. Alan should thank them for all they had done for them. She wondered what the spirits looked like. Alan replied that they are so small it's impossible to tell what they look like, but he doesn't think they look the way he imagines them now. Claria would like to meet them too. She will work hard to meet them once and for all. It would be better if she didn't talk about spirits in front of other people. Claria asked if the spirits could hear her right now, to which the boy replied that they probably could. It's amazing how that's even possible. Claria turned to the spirits and said that if they could hear her, they would please tell Alan about it. Alan repeated the phrase. Claria stated that her voice ulced the spirits, and she did. They heard it. That's great, and really it's a one-wicket conversation, but so be it. She can still talk to the spirits. She wondered if the spirits had said anything else. Like she said, he should respect those Teletubbies. Claria told him to stop calling them that. Maybe they wouldn't talk about it. However, she still had more to say to the spirits. At least let her give him a break. Okay, so he met with Claria halfway through the escape. Elna was on one of those carriages that split up later. They've been through a lot. The King of Verta is her relative, and she came to him for help. But when she met Elna, she realized she shouldn't. Alan asked her to wait and explain everything to her in more detail. While Elna was distracting the enemy army, the crew had already reached the Kingdom of Sicilia. The squad had accomplished their task, and to meet with Clarius, they set out again to Let, but already in the Kingdom of Vert. They believed that the king was a relative of the Clarii, and that he would be able to help them. They tried to contact them through the nobles. However, other units were captured and sent to an unknown location to avoid difficulties. Elna stayed in the city where it would be easier for her to find Claria. In other words, this country is in cahoots with these rebels from the Kingdom of Starwick, probably to do them some kind of favor. Elna has worked hard. It's just his troubles, that's all. Even Miss Claria is safe. She thinks of the guards who were captured. If it is possible, she would like to rescue them, but they will not be able to do so as the place where they were captured is unknown to them. What to do now that she has run out of ideas? Could Sir Corinth share his wisdom? He doesn't understand why she speaks to him so formally. It was because she was a princess. No, as a former princess, she thought she should address a nobleman like him appropriately. He decided to tell her he wasn't a nobleman. The girl pointed out that he had a family name. Even though he has a family name, he is not a nobleman. He said that everyone in his family has a family name, but none of them are noblemen. Claria couldn't believe how that was possible. On this continent, only nobles have a family name. He suggested forgetting and going back to talking about what he would do in her place. Well, first of all, he would have gathered information. They can't make a good decision without information. He thinks the best thing to do now would be to ask an informed person like Terrace. If possible, Claria should confess to him who she really is. Elna has stated that they won't do that. What will he do if things don't go according to plan? If things don't work out, he'll just take Claria's hand and run from there at breakneck speed. Elna urged him to stop talking nonsense. No, if Alan meant it, no knights or guards could compare to him. Elna didn't see how that was possible. Claria guarantees there will be a massacre. And Elna also has to watch her speech when talking to Alan. She doesn't like it when someone refers to him that way. Elna understood and apologized profusely. She also thinks they can trust Mr. Terrace. She apologized, but could he arrange a meeting with him? He clarified they would like to see him. They apologized for distracting his department. Terrace saw that they didn't. He never said no to people who saved his life. She knows it's unexpected that she's been using a false name all this time and apologizes for that. Her real name is Claria Starvin. Terrace stated that there was no need to apologize given their position, which was acceptable. She stated that he did not need to address her as Her Highness. She no longer held that position. He understood her and clarified what she wanted to talk about. The girl wondered if he had any information about the Kingdom of Starwick, and she would like him to tell her. He realized since he had been out of town for a while, he might have released something. Jonas can explain everything. Butler clarified where he should start. If he knows about the battle in Ludovic's territory, he can start there. First, there are quite a few rumors and mercenaries that he will add to his tale. She also needs to keep in mind that this information may not be unreliable. First, about the battle with Ludovic. It involved the army of Earl, which consisted of about 6,000 soldiers, and the army of Eastern Northern nobles, numbering about 40,000 soldiers. Since it was a Ludovico siege, the whole thing turned into a battle of attrition. The nobles offered to lay down their arms, but Earl refused, and 2 weeks later the castle was defeated. Most likely her uncle was just trying to stall for time and what happened to him. Earl went all the way to the end and died on the battlefield. Then his body was put on display for all to see. That's the rumor. According to some witnesses before Earl's Zamo fell, some soldiers were able to slip away. Her uncle insisted that those who didn't want to participate in the battle retreated before the battle began, not during it. Earl fell and the rest of the nobles surrendered one by one for 35 days. A nobleman from the south named Agostini became the new king and announced a new kingdom, now called the Kingdom of Alois. Agostini is going to steal her country and rename it the Kingdom of Alois. Clara thanked them big time for that price of information, and she wants to pay them for such a favor. The merchant stated that she didn't need to do that. He suggested that she just gather as much information as possible. The girl noted that he had no reason to go that far. To be fair, his father was a merchant in the kingdom of Starwick, so you could consider him half-born there. His father died 4 years ago, but to help the princess of the kingdom his father loved so much is a credit to him. Claria thanked him, but this country, the Kingdom of Verta, cooperates with the Kingdom of Alois. If he helps them develop, does not answer that he gives to his king. Terrace understood it as if the king spread his blood to other countries to benefit himself. But that won't be a problem because there is no wanted notice for Princess Starwick, and anyway, the king's reputation will be ruined if he captures his own sister. That's why she shouldn't worry. The girl understood him and thanked him again for everything. Now he knows about her situation and thinks that he should meet with the merchants and get more information. Now they have some information, but it is still not enough. Still, it will help them a lot to have a knowledgeable man like Mr. Terrace on their side. The boy wondered what she would do now. The girl genuinely doesn't know what to do. Ideally, she would like to take back her kingdom, but it is not important for her subjects to serve the Starwick family or Retrogen. Elna has stated that this is not true, and the residents adore the Starwick royal family. The nobles treat them the same. The fact that they staged a rebellion is a very strange event. She is one of the knights and will always be on her side. Claria thanked her, but their family has fallen. The past kingdom is gone, and wouldn't it be better to return to their hometown? However, since the princess is still alive, she can recreate the Starwin royal family. Besides, Elna made an oath to the goddess Luminos that she would protect Miss Clara with the price of her life. The princess was horrified at what she was wearing. Alan couldn't catch the topic of conversation. Is the oath to the goddess such a serious thing? Religion was important to them, and he'd better keep out of the conversation so as not to offend their sensibilities. Claria, what she was feeling. She wouldn't force her to go back to the city. She suggested that she live together from now on. The princess turned to the guy stating that there is something she needs to do as soon as possible. There are still people who are still looking for her, and she wants to give them information about her whereabouts. There are also those who want to return home, and she should help them. However, what can they do? She checked with Elna if the other squads know her actions. The knight replied that they did not, but she informed them that she was going to the Kingdom of Vert. If they act up, chances are they're gonna lose everything. These guys are disguised adventurers in disguise. In that case, they'll come to the Adventurers Guild. They will be able to give information if they leave an announcement in the guild. Claria called him a genius. Well, you will be seen by other people. She also saw some suspicious adventurers and maybe not stalkers, so it will be dangerous. Alan realized that means the stalkers look like adventurers. So when they see this announcement, they'll call for help and no good will come of it. Claria asked Elna if there are any signs that only the guards of the kingdom understand. Elna noted that it is a good idea. For example, the guards call Claria's Picori as C312. They are the 12th from the staircase located on the 3rd floor of Building C. Clearly, anyone who is not a guard would not even think that this is short for Clary. But I haven't heard of the guild being able to leave announcements. What if they left a request for a delivery to Gotania from someone named Resident C312? It was a great plan. The guy stated to the girl at the tincture that they would like to publish one assignment. The girl stated that she knew he would come to accept the assignment. The guy replied that that's not why he was here. He just wanted to give it to him. She understood and asked what he wanted to give her. The assignment is for 1 wyvern stone to be delivered to the Adventurers Guild. The reward is 5 gold coins and a time limit of 6 months. The customer is a C312 resident. The girl was indignant that such a stone was only 5 coins. That's too cheap. No one would put such a price and at least 10 zlotys. Alan agreed that it should be 10. She asked in which guilds it should be published. The guy said that in all guilds in the kingdom of Starwick, Cecilia, and Verta. The girl was surprised that it was so much. It was about 21 guilds. The price of their order is 121,000 Owen. Tomorrow it will be at all the places he mentioned. Alan was surprised that it's so fast and how it's not contacting them. The girl can't divulge details, but the guild has artifacts with which they can communicate over long distances. He had heard about this legendary magical artifact from Clyria. He asked if he could have a look at him. The girl said that of course not, because his whereabouts were also classified. He asked to proceed with his assignment. The girl remembered that there was a task that was addressed to him. It's a big firm called the Terrace Company. When he accepts it, he has to go there. Alan noted that they had discussed accepting quests earlier, and this is what she was talking about. He stated that he would visit them. The girl apologized that he spent such a large amount of money on them. It's all right because this money belonged to him and Clyria, so they could spend it as much as they wanted. There's also the question of what this assignment is from Mr. Terus. He wants him to be his bodyguard while he oversees the movement of goods and the evil head of the bandits. Clyria asked him if he would accept it. Alan stated that of course, since the merchant was so kind 7, he would go tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Clyria said that she would go with him, and Elna also said that she would join him. The boy replied that he could manage on his own. Clyria noted that this mister also helped her. Alan and Elna stayed with her even though it was dangerous. The guy agreed that they would go together. The girl wanted to ask him something a long time ago. The guy said that apparently the time had come and she wanted to know who he really was. She wonders why he is helping her. The guy is all she wants to know why he helps her. Of course he can't tell her because she's so connected to humanity. Well, first of all, then he just wanted to help a dying girl. Then they traveled together more Nachal and mages. She was at his side the whole time, and even before he realized it. Alan admitted that it's probably just someone like a little sister to him. And you don't need a reason to help a little sister. Clyria sadly stated that she was like a little sister to him. He didn't understand why she was upset. Let him say that you were weird on didn't she herself help him? They were always together, not despite the fact that he didn't know the language or geography. She taught him a lot of things he didn't know. Clyria agreed, but he helped her a lot more than she helped him. Clyria, she already realized maybe he wasn't from this continent. He got here on a ship, but he drowned like the rest of the crew. He turned out to be the only survivor. There's no way back without a ship, so he has no choice but to stay here. And if he builds another ship, can he come back? Alan said no, it's impossible and hard to explain. But he can't go back without it. She understood him. He's just like her. They can't go home. That's right. And he can't go home or back to the Empire. Iris stated that they finally woke up. And well, from now on, she agrees to become 3.4 of the Imperial Military Code. She has an issue for them. Alan told Beck to wake up. They have a lot to do today. Clyria wished him a good morning and asked him what he planned to do today. He has a bunch of stuff. He's going to go collect what they looted from the bandits. There's also John's request from the guild. He's also thinking of going to the guild to register them as a team. Elna, coming into the group, brought that idea to mind. But is it good because they will also take all the weapons found in the bandits? It's all right. Let him not refuse. Besides, the village doesn't have enough weapons to defend itself, does it? Beck thanked Alan and Miss Rhea. They really appreciate it. And don't get bored of adventurers to return to the village. They call you Iron Axes. Alan realized he wasn't a posse. He stated that he had these couples as friends and asked them to please take care of them on their way back to the village. The knight stated for him to leave it to them. They will make sure they get back to Talus safely. Beck asked Alan and Rhea to accept this token of appreciation. He appreciates it and thanks for everything. He will gladly accept this gift. Ria is also happy to take it. This makes her happy. It is the first time she receives a gift from someone. Alan and Miss Ria are the saviors of the village. This event will forever remain in their hearts. The guy stated that he is exaggerating. He asked to stop by if they pass by. The boys said goodbye and asked where the bandits' lair was. Alan said it was 3 hours away. Elna has wind magic. He apologized that it was so sudden, but could she use it? The girl stated that she was using an air disc. It's amazing how a ball of air like that can explode like that. It can't be seen by the naked eye, unlike a fireball. That's a tremendous advantage. He wondered if it could do anything else. The next wind slash, he makes a disc of wind that slices everything in its path. That sounds cool, and Elna used the wind cutter. It's amazing how she creates a mental image when she uses the spell. Elna doesn't know anything like that. She just follows what the spellbook says. He knew it was fundamentally different from his method. Instead of a mental image, they have to follow instructions written in a spellbook. The boys have arrived. These things appear to be intact. Alan notifies the girls that the dogs are coming, and he doesn't know if they have spotted them. They are about 650 meters away from them. Elna didn't understand how he knew that. He had used a detection spell. The girl was dumbfounded as to whether such a spell even existed. That's too bad. They're moving in their direction. Alan informed Jonas that the dogs were coming and to take cover inside. The 3 of them couldn't handle a dozen. She also suggested that they take cover inside and figure out how to close the exit. Alan stated that was not necessary. He could handle them alone. Claria asked that the easy 3 be relinquished. The distance is about 200 meters. Jonas will clarify if they will be okay. Well, the guy asked not to worry. Princess asked Elna to calm down. Vatina was practicing her magic. If Claria was going to use magic, he didn't want to fall behind. Would try Beck's knife on one of them. The enemy was already close by. She controls 3 arrows at the same time. The girl has clearly gotten stronger. Looks like it went perfectly and dreamily. The knife is easy to use. It's impossible he only recently saw the wind cutter and can already use it freely without even reading spells. Claria noted that he is human, and she too is constantly surprised. About Miss Claria's magic. Not long ago they parted and she has already improved her magic so much. The girl stated that it was her boyfriend who taught it to her. Elna asked Cheese to teach it to her as well. The guy for what he practically nothing I taught, and also she can just call him by his name Alan. Such amazing magic, in the blink of an eye he destroyed 10 dogs. But they are adventurers after all, and the danger is over so they can get back to work. Speaking of other kinds of magic, they can't use magic without a proper spellbook. Elna confirmed it. If you go to the Magician's Guild, you can probably read some books about other kinds of magic there. They decided to register in the Adventurers Guild as a squad while getting on the quest degrees, and also whether Elna is already registered. It turned out to be yes, and her rank is already C. Clearly, since they have the same rank as Claria, it's about time. Elna was surprised that they were the same rank. Wasn't she mistaken? They had just said they were both of the same rank. The girl suggested to leave it out for now, and what they would call their group. She would agree to anything Ria suggested as long as it wasn't something weird. Of course she wouldn't suggest a weird name. Removing the squad name has to be done wisely. It had been about 20 minutes, and they were still undecided. Elna suggested the name Shining Star. The princess said it was not bad, but the guy had heard it somewhere. Miss Claria's family name is Starwin, which means I'm still a star. All agreed on the name choice, and it was decided. The girl on the registration tincture enrolled them as the squad Still Star and specified who would be their leader. The squad leader will be Miss Ria. Elna also thinks that Miss Ria is the best fit. But the girl thinks that the leader should be Alan. The leader should be the strongest of the group. And she doesn't want to stand out. If you look at it that way, she's right. The guy says he'll be the leader and let her write it down, please. She needs to update their guild cards, and can they give them away again for a little while? They still have some free time left, and he suggested they celebrate the formation and the group. The girls assured him that was a great solution. They decided they would drink cold ales with appetizers. The guys had everything brought to them, and they drank to future adventures and travels because of their shining star. Alan never thought he'd find himself in this situation. 50 days ago, he was just an ordinary officer traveling the galaxy on an Imperial battleship. Now he's in the world of sword and magic and traveling with new companions. This is the kind of thing you only see in movies. He wonders what happened to the humans' war against the beetles. According to the latest rumors at the time, the war was not progressing, and they were on equal footing with them. Of course he'd want a victory for humanity. It's not someone else's problem. He'd completely forgotten about the bugs and what if they sided with this planet. If the bugs were flying, no one here could stand up to them technologically. They'd be wiped out and he had nothing but a single pulse rifle. Fortunately, the bugs haven't attacked this planet in tens of thousands of years. Too naive to think they won't come at all. Counting on this can't be done, and he's got to do something. A girl was asked by a man if the guy listened to them at all. He replied that he was thinking in general. They had an important meeting from the squad and nothing good would come out if he was distracted. The guy assured that now here are his places. Claria did not understand him, to which he apologized, saying that he was not polite. The guys had another drink to the shining star. They finished the registration of the squad in the casing and the lawyers, and now they are looking for a place suitable for the base. Luckily, Terrace bought back the recipe for his pudding for a solid 5,000 guineas. Along with the reward for catching the bandits, they had a large sum of money on their hands. Then Terrace showed them a possible place for a base, the Inn of Plentiful Harvest. They were welcomed inside. Alan stated that they would like to rent rooms, one per person, so 3 rooms. Claria avowed that she would share a room with Elna. The girl also thought it was much safer that way. Alan then asked for 1 room for 1 person and 1 room for 2. A single room costs 500 guineas a night, and a double room 750 guineas. If they're staying for a long time, will it be much cheaper? They can give them a discount if they pay in advance, but then they don't get a refund. Either way, they're staying for 2 weeks. Alan reckoned it should be 14,000 guineas, and they need to figure out how to make some money, otherwise their budget will end there. The stagnant girl stated that the payment was for 2 weeks and faltered. Suddenly, a woman appears to take what this child is doing, making her wait at the guest house. She apologizes profusely and gets 14,000 guineas. That strange request, but they have grabbed some groceries and they do not return if they use the kitchen when cooking a couple of meals. The girl didn't know what to do, so she turned to her dad. The man asked if he was the one who was going to cook. He didn't mind. Alan said that not so long ago he had bought fresh blackbird meat at the market and would like to cook it. Of course, he would pay for what he was doing in the kitchen. The man stated that there was no charge and clarified when he wanted to start. The guy replied that they had some other things to do now, so closer to the evening. The man suggested that he slice ahead of time. Alan noted that slicing equally for everyone would be a good idea. Claria, what a sarcastic man that man is. It doesn't bother him that he's a little rude. Claria stated that if you're not embarrassed, there's nothing to add. Speaking of the spell books they were discussing yesterday, they can be found in the Mages Guild. Will it be the Kingdom of Starwick? Yes. But has the girl seen a magic guild in this city? She has not been there herself. She heard that in this kingdom they have them, but they are not so many. We decided to visit the nearest Magician's Guild. If they don't have books, they'll come up with something else. They quickly found the Mages Guild in this city, but the building was so small that it was no match for the Adventurers Guild. And inside, they were greeted and asked if they wanted to place an order. Alan said he wasn't sure if it was an order, but they were here to learn a spell. The girl pointed out that means they are here to learn spells and now they are using a particular spell. The guy replied that from fire magic he can use fireball and fire arrow. From wind magic he can use air strike and wind slash. As for water magic, he has only 1 water spell. The girl said that it is amazing he has 3 kinds of magic, and then please let him join the guild. Elna clarified if there would be any benefits from joining the guild. The girl said that of course if they don't join, they will have access to magic tools and books, and she will even give them a 20% discount. The guy is not for nothing. It's kind of suspicious and they'd better forget about it. The girl asked to wait for a moment. They will still get special privileges, for example. If they have to leave an order for the Mages Guild will also be 20% off. And since they are already ordering, she thinks it is better to join right away. They also asked how much it cost, to which the girl replied that it was 5 silver coins. Cleria noted that it was the same as the Adventurers Guild. The girl also asked what rank they were in the Adventurers Guild. The guy replied that he was rank C, but he had just become an adventurer 2 days ago. The girl said that 2 days ago and already at this rank. It's amazing. She must force him to join at any cost if she let him go to Gua. She asked what kind of magic they wanted to learn, or better yet, this price list of spell books. A fireball costs 80,000 guineas. He was surprised it was that expensive. Turns out it's the market price. If it's that expensive, anyone could make a copy and make a profit selling it. Anyone who does that would go straight to the death penalty for copyright infringement in any country. While they were here, how about a demonstration of magic? It would be nice if they were given some more explanation. The girl clarified that they were not here to learn magic, but what could they learn just by watching another person do magic? Alan said that spellbooks are expensive, and they will decide whether to buy them when they see the action with their own eyes. With such harsh punishments, he hoped that there wouldn't be much consequence if he realized she could learn a spell by eye. Just make a fool of yourself. The girl started that she understood, and they will. This is the healing magic of light. Can she tell you about it? It is used to heal wounds, which really surprised the guy, and the girl wondered if he didn't know about it. He's still amazing. The guy did something amazing. He wants her to see more of this and this. In general, he does not know any of these spells and asked how much for everything. The girl noted that they have not had such requests so far and should consult with the head of the guild. The head is still working in the clinic at the moment out of access. Cleria clarify why the head is working at the clinic. Because the head of the guild can use healing magic, and it is useful in the hospital, and all because of the low income of their department. Alan noted that they seemed to care enough. The girl said that she asked the guild head tonight and they could come back tomorrow morning. If they decided to join, there would be an evaluation test. Alan knew there would be a test. Of course, you don't give them a rank based on the results of the test. If they go to the order, he would like to stay and observe. She clarified if Elna wanted to watch too, to which she agreed. But if there's no guild member here, she won't give them a discount. Alan asked if the two of them could join too. The girl behind the counter asked if the two of them could also do sorcery, which the girls confirmed. If she gets 3 members, the chapter will favor her, she has no doubt, and will look forward to seeing them tomorrow. It seems he had been told to join the guild, and it didn't seem so bad. Alan apologized for them piling meat prep on him. He introduced himself, and the man introduced himself, and his name is Buzz. It's no big deal, and what's he going to cook? He is at home making a few dishes from his native national cuisine. Buzz also prepared kitchen magic tools. He suggested what he could make on his family. Would they eat with them? Will Buzz taste good? He has a finicky daughter and he warns. Just let him rely on him. The boys wondered if this dish was from Alan's country. What a wonderful cuisine. It's a combination of different dishes from his country, and he hopes it will be to their liking. Cleria said it was delicious. He asked to try the roast with this sauce. The girl replied that it was as good as anything. Of all his dishes, this is the most delicious. The guy is happy to hear that. She clearly eats as if hungry, although the arm leg but already healed increased appetite retained. Is she all right? Nanom stated that this is consistent with the program. Supplemental nutrition is still needed as apoptosis metabolizes cells of recovered areas 4 times higher than healthy cells. Buzz's daughter stated that it is a delicacy and his wife's blood sees eggs being used in the base of the sauce. Buzz checked with Alan to see if she had time tomorrow to talk about something. The guy agreed he was fine with it. That's what everyone said, it was delicious. And this salad is so gourmet too. Alan came to see Buzz and told him what he wanted to discuss. The man wanted to talk about his technique. He didn't happen to be a chef. Alan replied that it was just a hobby. With those cooking skills, he's really impressed with last night's cooking. No one in the whole world could make such a delicious meal. Alan claims he's exaggerating. Even a top-class hotel or restaurant couldn't replicate his cuisine. He wants to make it himself. Buzz asked him to please teach him how to do it. I'm not wearing it for free, he's asking for it. And how about we waive the rent? Why don't you let him stay here for a month or so? Alan, let's see if he's a little too much. A chef's culinary technique is his whole life. His technique is worth it, and if he could learn any other recipes he knows. Alan, I understand you don't mind teaching him, but only on your own time. Buzz replied that I'm not doing Mona with myself anymore. Claria knew what he was doing this early in the morning. The guy wished the girls good morning and said he had good news. Buzz let him live here without paying. The girl from the Mages Guild excluded that she was expecting them all very much, and called the head saying that the people she had spoken to yesterday had arrived. The chapter turned to the girl named Lily, surprised that she told her to personally come for her in such cases. The head apologized and asked if he was the one doing the ordering. She had already been told everything. The guy stated that not that it was an official order for the guild, but of course she understood perfectly. The girl introduced that her name was Kara, and she was the head of the Gothania branch of the Mages Guild. The guy also introduced himself along with the girls. The chapter is very pleased to meet everyone. She knows it can be abrupt, but she suggests there to get straight to the point. The conversation, so they should sit down. They may not discuss it, but the order will cost this much. Alan said it's not cheap. The waterfall is apparently a water version of a fireball. He thought with a little practice he might be able to do it. He suggested taking these spells out of the order. Alan decided to talk also about the magic items and how much they would cost if he ordered them to be made. If it's something new, there will be a research fee for prototyping. How does he look at 60,000 guineas? The lad's going for that much. In principle, they could make them themselves, and the cost would be greatly reduced. Alan was surprised to hear that they could make them themselves. Theoretically, they could do it. If they didn't join the guild, they could take a course to make magic items. The initial magic item crafting course was 50,000 guineas. Claria asked him not to worry about the money since he wanted to try it. Alan agreed to take it. Per person? Well, the guild registration fee plus tuition will be 50,500 guineas. Speaking of which, she would just like to see the effects of healing magic. How would they like to see it? So wounded people don't just appear out of nowhere when he needs them. In that case, how about he cuts his hand with a knife and she heals it? Healing magic can heal him early, but the cure won't be perfect, so she wouldn't recommend it. Then she works at the hospital. Can he watch the healing there in her performance? Kara asked how he knew about it. Then he turned to Lily and asked where you were going. Had she blabbed the top secret of their ward? Lily replied that even though she calls it a top secret, the whole town already knows. Well, she's supposed to be helping out as a volunteer. Lily said she'd keep her mouth shut and wouldn't blab again. She promises. If she opens her mouth again, she won't get off that easy. Since it's all out in the open, there's nothing to be done. She's already told the guys at the clinic to contact her if they bring in the wounded. She would also personally give him lessons on making magic items. Alan was surprised that the guild leader was giving lessons. The guild leader got her position in this department because of her skill at making magic items, not her success with magic. Kara noted that if you listened to her speak, you would think she was terrible at magic. They are hoping for her, and clarified when classes will start. The head didn't mind starting tomorrow, and the boy agreed. Claria that it's awesome and doesn't look like Mifril at all. The blacksmith stated that he had done a good job. The girl noted that the guy looked great too. He agreed, and it was easy for him to move, but the cost would be considerable. The girl clarified that she wanted to finish the order first. Alan said that it sounded good, but he already had a plan ready. Someone was looking at them, that she looked for them everywhere. Only she knew that they were in this city all the time. The next day at the Magician's Guild, Kara checked with Alan about his knowledge of magic items. He knows that a magic stone is used as a source of energy to power a single magic item, and that's it. But she decided to show him the structure of the magic item. The essence is that the magic item is divided into about 4 parts: magic stone, magic conductor, magic circle, and the stone in the magic. The construction of everything is pretty simple, well as they produce magic. A magic circle is the heart of a magic object, and the power of magic inscribed in a magic circle. Alan asks what the circle is made of, letters or shapes. The larger part is made of shapes, and she asks to pay attention that the shapes are built from the outer edge of the circle to the center and connected to each other. This construction is called a magic path, just like an electrical circuit. Alan didn't catch it, and asked the Nanoma if he understood. He confirmed. He understood everything so well with just this explanation. He's quite capable. Anyway, The function of the magic object is defined by the magic circle. They decided to try to draw a magic circle. For someone who's drawing a magic circle for the first time, it's amazing. Alan stated that it is because she teaches well. He actually because he is helped by Nanom. Tomorrow they will study magic circles in more detail, and she asked if he still had any questions. He had long wondered what magical energy was. Kara noted that he had immediately decided to ask a difficult question, for no one in the entire Mages Guild knew the answer to that question. As far as she knew, it was a power that the goddess Luminous had given people to fight against creatures with magic stones. But why the goddess endowed the monsters with magic? Even the priests and researchers do not know the answer. Here's the thing, they only know how to use this magical energy. Suddenly, Lilia appears and declares that they have an emergency. They brought her a man who looks terrible. He had an open fracture, but he was lucky. She stated that cases like this should center on slowly healing the bone. First of all, they have to put the bone back in its original position. Everything should be fine now. She pointed him to the place where the bone was broken. The fragments fit together, and at this stage, the healing magic is used. Alan remarked that it was amazing and actually healed. Now the bones are connected. They have finished with one more healing magic. She will have to use one more healing. There's a contract here about the cost of treatment. It'll require a surcharge. The man was told that everything would be fine, as expected from Kara. She was thanked. The head checked with the guy how the healing magic was working for him, but he replied that it was amazing how it really healed his wounds. Then would he like to buy a book of healing spells? Alan, how much does it cost? The head replied that since he was a member of the Mages Guild, it would be about 136,000 guineas. Alan pointed out that it was so expensive and it was definitely over their budget. They wouldn't buy something like this until they made some more money. Their expenses were gradually increasing and he was obliged to make some money soon. He also asked the Nanoma if he understood how healing magic heals a wound, but he replied that he didn't know, and the guy went off to drag how he himself heals early. First, the damaged cell is broken down to the molecular level. Then the proteins are rebuilt and used as building material for cells. As with Claria's arm and leg, if the material is insufficient, it must be replenished from an outside source. A guy saw the girls and asked what happened to her. It turns out that during the training, her wooden sword accidentally hit her thigh. Elna replied that she was careless and it was a pitiful sight. The girls asked what he thought, and he asked to take a look. His idea of how the Nanom heals is not magical if you imagine it in fantasy style. Alan decided to try ordering him to aim. It can't be, but all her pain is gone, and don't let him say it's healing. When did he have time to learn healing? The guy replies that he saw the head of the Mages Guild use healing on a patient in the hospital and just decided to try it, and it worked. Claria is shocked that he just succeeded just by seeing it once. The guy stated that practicing with the ball is good, well, let them not overexert themselves. To be honest, Alan's facetiousness was fine. After that, he continued to help in the kitchen in the mobile harvest, went to the Mages Guild every day. The initial course on creating magic items by itself usually takes about 20 days, but he had already finished the course in 10 days, well ahead in the schedule. In the remaining days, luckily for him, the guild head and graciously agreed to help craft magic items. While learning to make magic items, he began to think that he could recreate everyday items used in the Empire. For example, he could create a hairdryer in the form of a magical object, lowering hot air by combining the magic of fire and wind. Many other analogies could be made depending on the idea. If he asks Nanom for a schematic, he will give out the magic circle and the calculations and materials needed for each component of the circuit. If the masses produce and sell them, it would be quite profitable. As long as they were still allies of Claria, he should consider arming himself beforehand, and no matter how much money he had, there was never enough. Ria noted that the boy was chipper today. He asked if they were in the Adventurers Guild. The girls confirmed it, but still no word. The boy noted that it hadn't been a month yet. Suddenly he heard the language and realized that it was different, and he knew it well, because it was the official language of the Empire. The girl asked the captain's permission to turn. Warrant Officer Selena Conrad arrived at his service. The lad was amazed to see if the rescuers had already arrived. Wasn't it early? Plus the warrant officers. He had never heard of such a rank. Alan clarified which unit she belonged to. Red Fleet, Spica Division, second ship of the 238th Fleet, Iris Conrad, Space Corps 1st Detachment. The guy realized he didn't have one of those in his unit. He checked to see if Iris was still operational or not. The girl replied that of course she had been looking for him all along. The ship was about to be smashed to pieces. Alan ordered the Nano-Me to scan the girl completely. The scan was completed, and he asked him if she was telling the truth. Yes, there was nothing wrong with Iris, and her fake IDs were issued to her by the Empire. The guy realized that means Iris was saved, and he is so glad. The ID given to the Empire can't be fake, and in that case, she is the only survivor of the crew. Although no, he would have to be the only survivor then. He looked at her appearance for what he had a bad feeling about her. To Clary, he made that this girl was his assistant. He would explain everything later. To Selena, he suggested they discuss the hotel they were staying at. Buzz welcomed them back, and Alan introduced the girl that this friend was from his town. He apologized to Claria, but he needed to talk to her privately. He needed to clarify a few things with her if she had a communication device. Selena stated that, of course, and it's already online. He hadn't communicated in Imperial for a long time, and he had a strange feeling. She knew this meant he had indeed closed his communication borders. Lieutenant Conrad had pointed out that possibility. He would never have thought the main ship was still intact, and something else let her not call him Gray. But he's as much the captain of the ship as the admiral. He has every right to call himself that. After she reminded him, he remembered that he became the captain of the ship, but did he get promoted? For him to become an admiral, the world must collapse. Either way, she's not allowed to call him sir or captain. Not on this planet. She can just call him Alan. I need something, Iris and he clarified if they could talk to her. Celine accepted his order, and Iris told the captain that's so much time. She's glad he's safe. The guy was apparently stuck worrying about her. He thought I had failed to repair the ship. The girl pointed out that isn't it a violation of military regulations to drop things on a planet with living beings? Of course violations, but in a Category 1 emergency, captain's orders take precedence over military regulations. Unimportant, and he's glad she's safe, which she thanked him for. She knows it's unexpected. As for Selena, it's just as he imagined. She is a clone created using body tissue from the late General Iris Conrad's body that was stored in a medical pharmacy. The guy wondered why the general's body was aboard the ship. This tradition of keeping the body of the officer after whom the ship was named means the ship has a soul. Something as unscientific as a soul in this age of interstellar navigation is the new imperial religion. It's nothing more than cursing at a deceased hero. If the Olympic Ethics Committee finds out about this, all artificial intelligence in the same series that it is will be destroyed. The Imperial Ethics Committee strictly defines what humanity should be. Since it's under the direct control of the Adele government, there's nothing they can do about it. Well, if she knows about all this, why did she create Selena? The girl claimed it was because of Captain's orders. She was ordered to maintain the fighting ability of this ship, and you were ordered to make up for their lack of manpower. Of course we told her that, but it would take too long to explain. The only way to fulfill that order is to create clones. That means he'll probably be court-martialed. Iris said he didn't have to worry about that. Shoot, so many of those captains who declared a state of emergency of the first category could not justify their actions or prove their innocence. The guy clarified that isn't that the worst thing that could happen. Never mind that, though. No need to worry about that. Why can she speak the language of this planet, then? She had learned it thanks to a chip placed hidden in big cities. Alan was dumbfounded when he heard about the chips and asked if they were sending drones. As it turns out, they are. And here's a list of the items she delivered. They have enough ammunition, if he is not mistaken. Then the Apostle that the inhabitants of this planet recently talked about is their military drone. So the universe used an escape pod to descend to the planet. Isn't that okay? She already knows about this universe, and Sharon used the escape pods she put together to descend to the planet. Alan asked her to wait and found out what else Sharon is. She's the same as Selena, so she's her twin sister. The guy didn't understand how someone even makes clones now. As it turned out, they can't make clones anymore, and that's the captain's order. He clarified the location of the second clone of Sharon. She's currently in the kingdom of Alois, but she's on her way to the captain's location. She will arrive in about 2 hours. He still needs to learn many things about this planet, about this country, and the condition of the ship, and so on. He asked for answers to all his questions. Alan apologized for keeping him waiting. Selena said it was okay because she was talking to her colleague. He asked if she was talking about Sharon, and asked when they had come down to this planet. The girl answered that 5 days ago, and he will clarify what equipment they took with them. They couldn't take much, and the weapons they took impulse on dictation were laser guns and knives. He also specified what about the suits. The hangar on the section had been destroyed during the ship's reconstruction, and so some weapons were broken too. They had also gotten energy packs for their pulse rifles and laser cannons, about 25 of them, and 330 emergency pike, as well as spare clothes and uniforms for him. But half of it was Sharon's escape pod. He didn't understand why they each took half. As it turned out, the girls had argued about who would take what, and then Iris had said to just split it in half. The boy said it didn't matter and asked how far the escape pod was from here. It's a 3-day walk from here. She hid it pretty well and secured it securely as well. The inhabitants of this planet wouldn't be able to open it. He understood and offered her to pick up the capsule later. Selena turned to him and asked who the 2 girls he had just talked to were. He would introduce them to her later. After all, she knows well about adventurers. They are members of his team. Selena clarified if everything and nothing special was going on. The guy confirmed it, and she stated that she was so glad. He didn't tell them anything about the Empire, and she shouldn't either. Now that he thinks about it, what is her next mission? Selena stated to the captain that he can choose it himself. Now she will be working with Claria if possible, and should get to know them, and now he will introduce her to them, and she should follow him. The guy stated that he wanted to introduce her, and she is from the same town as him, and her name is Selena. Selena introduced herself and stated that she was excited to meet them. Claria and Elna also introduced themselves. They are happy to meet them. The guy added that she would be working with them anyway. Claria clarified with him who she was. He said that he came to this continent on a ship, and she is one of the crew of the ship. Claria clarified if that was all, and if they didn't have any special relationship. Celine pointed out that the girl was being too informal with Commander Allen, and more than that, it was outrageous that she was questioning his words. Alea called her a bitch and asked if she even realized who she was talking to. The girl was the crowned princess of the Kingdom of Starwick. Celine stated that a princess of a third-rate country is no match for Sir Alan. Alan ordered them both to stop. He thinks it's Selena's fault, so let her apologize to them. Selena apologized, she said unnecessary things, and is happy to get acquainted again. Claria also apologized for their rudeness. The guy stated that Selena's sister is coming soon, and he is counting on them. The girls were surprised to hear about another one. As it turned out, her sister had also been rescued from the sinking ship. Selena and Sharon, who will arrive tonight, are soldiers. He thought they would be a good addition to the fighting force and their team. By Imperial Army standards, their combat level is 92. They can count on them, a princess of a third-rate country and her servant. Elna asked, embarrassed, if she was trying to insult the princess again. Guy asked them to please try to be friends. Selena didn't realize if she had said something that hurt. He said it was the 238th fleet, but there can't be that many. Even the biggest countries only have 2 fleets. Claria pointed out that captain is a title not used by aristocrats or royalty. He said he was not an aristocrat, but maybe in his country the military rank is much more important. Selena also has a sister and will have to meet her at another hotel later. If you think back, Selena seems to be a very pretty girl, and she seems to be the same age as her. Claria didn't understand what this strange feeling of disappointment was. Alan stated to Selena that recent behavior is not acceptable. She apologized to him, but she too is annoyed by their behavior. He noted that Claria's behavior wasn't so strange, but he would be happy if she treated him the same way. The girl stated that there was no way she would allow herself. He suggested that how about she stop using the honorary title at least until she was on this planet. The girl replied that she would think about it. One more thing of a uniform stands out, and when they arrive at the hotel, let her please change. If she has any problems, the girl replied that clothes are so-so on this planet. He asks her to be patient and thought about how all girls are like that at this age. He suggested that she go back to the hotel. They will take this communicator, and good thing she brought a spare with her. It will help him a lot, and by the way, he looks cute in that outfit. Selena thanked him for the compliment. Alan clarified that a room for two would be fine for the girls. Not a problem, and everything will be fine. Alan asked Sarah if there was a room for two. The girl said yes and asked if it was his girlfriend. He confirmed that you could say it was a coworker. She handed them the key and said there was no charge for the room. The guy said he could pay. However, that's what her father told her. He doesn't have to worry about it because all he needs in return is new prescriptions. Suddenly, someone appeared at the hotel and calling Alan captain stated that trusted officer Sharon Conrad had arrived. Buzz wondered if they were twins. Alan stated that was correct. One was Selena and the other Sharon. He asked to greet them. Either way, and need to go to the room. He explained the whole story so far, about Claria and the others, and also told the current situation, and they listened silently. Afterward, they will start forming a team of adventurers with Claria and her maid. Sharon asked to leave it to her, and that's what we call the magic he used to say he could use. Alan confirmed it and showed how he controlled the water. The girls were amazed at how he did it. He asked them to stop calling him that. Suddenly, Iris appeared and said it was really amazing. Didn't anyone in the tavern she was following use magic? She had known about magic for a long time, but this was the first time she had seen it. Sharon and Selena asked if they could use magic too, if they transfer the magic algorithm to Captain SS Nanomi. Guy Duhee is counting on her also. Please let her report all the data about this planet and the condition of the ship. But now he has to introduce Sharon to the others. As the girls see Selena and Sharon are twins, Sharon states that it is a pleasure to meet her and introduces herself. She asks that they are taken care of. Claria stated that it was nice to meet her. He has already told the twins about them. They are his subordinate, so they can trust them. Claria said that if the boy said so, she wouldn't mind. It's the first time she's seen twins that look so much alike. Sharon stated that people often say that about them, and they do not know this continent well, so she asks to teach them. Unlike Selena, Sharon is very outgoing, and even though the clones grew up in equal conditions, what is the difference? The next day came. The guildmaster, she made his magic tool that blows warm air. Kara said it was beautiful and asked how he finished making it. This is all thanks to the guildmaster's instruction. This magic tool could be called a dehumidifier. Even though magic exists for some reason in this world, such a tool was not used. Magic is a special ability, and it's unlikely that they had the idea to use it to dry their hair. The cost of this magic tool is also a problem, so he lowered the cost by increasing the heat dissipation efficiency of the magic circle's gear spinning efficiency. Kara noted that this is a new magic tool. Does it dry in her hair? Lily didn't understand what the guildmaster was doing. You told her to sit still. He listened to her hair so quickly, moreover, and her hair is now shiny. Kara turned to the guy, but no, he only recently finished it. But why isn't he selling it to his magic guild? He didn't know what she meant. There is technology in this tool that has never been seen before, and especially this part of the mechanism deserves research. The guy assumed that on this planet the principle of leverage is unknown. He asked how much they'd be willing to buy it for. Kara stated that for 200,000 greenbacks, in addition to upgrading it to an A rank. Alan was amazed he'd get 200,000 and even get a promotion. It seems something like patent such a big profit. In addition to the pudding recipe, he talked to Terrace plastic bottles and everything is going smoothly. With that money, if they do manage to find Claria's subjects, they can create a clan. With arming Selena and Sharon, who can with backup and thanks to the drone, they will be able to deal with the rebels in Claria's country. He got a call from Sharon. They apologized, this conversation isn't that important, but is everything all right? They were just arguing about something. The girls wondered what he needed them here for. The guy didn't understand if they were leading themselves or the Imperial Army. The girls were asking specifically about the Imperial Army. He realized until yesterday he thought he was the only survivor. He had no particular purpose, and other than helping Claria, to be honest, he hadn't even thought about the future. As soon as everything is ready, he will get from Iris the current state of the ship and information about some details concerning this planet. Then whether they are going to stay in the Imperial Army or leave it. Even if they say they're going to stay in the Imperial Army, they won't be able to do any missions. In that case, it would be pointless to be in the Imperial Army. As expected, he can't leave because he has a responsibility, but doesn't think they could survive on this planet. Since the two of them have been given the chance to stay on this planet, they have every right to live in joy. The girls declared that they would follow him wherever he went. Alan said that they should not rush into a decision and there was still time. They understood him and apologized for asking him to take them with him. He replied that these girls were also worried since they were born clones, they didn't have their own purpose. Maybe it's because his psychological state is still unstable at that time. He was guilty to them, but what about him? All he could think about was how to help Cleria. As an officer of their empire or as a human being, what he should do on this planet. Even though they are outside the empire, is it right to interfere in the affairs of this planet using modern weapons? Alan has summoned Iris. He asked how long it would be before she collected all her reports. The girl said she could upload them to the nanomap the next morning. He understood. Iris remembered something else. There was one thing she could tell him right now. The name of this world the locals will recognize, and in other words, the name of this planet, Alès. The download was complete, he thanked her. Even if some of the information only pertains to geography and international relations, it's still terribly useful. Iris stated that it was relevant, and something maybe he should take action on. He had already thought about it. First, he needed to strengthen his foundation. The guy greeted the girls and clarified what they were chatting about. Everyone wished him good morning. Cleria was just telling one of the twins about the peculiarities of this continent. It appeared that since he had a question, there were times on this continent when commoners became nobles. It's rare, but about 10 years ago in the kingdom of Starwick, a squad leader who defeated a 3-headed wyvern was awarded the title of knight. She remembers the story too, that there was a reward for defending a village from a werewolf. He realized that this man was a new kind of nobleman. Yes, but the seekers and adventurers who became nobles were popular in society from the beginning. When they were given a title, they began to represent whose country. Alan noted that it was so complicated. Apparently in the empire or religious countries, there was no hierarchy, since he could get a title as a reward. They wondered why he had asked his friend about it. Well, he said it was nothing, he was just curious. Here's a wholesale store catalog for special containers and pudding recipes. Taro asked her father what this thing was, but he noted that he was actually having a conversation with Mr. Allen. The girl noted the cuckoo coincidence and asked him what this magical device was. It was his own invention and they were just now discussing it. Tara told her father that she wanted the thing. Let him look at her hair, it's so smooth and shiny for the first time. He'll answer only after they talk. Now let her leave them and we'll go somewhere else. Tara said she was counting on Mr. Allen. Apparently she liked it. Neither seemed to have decided to move on to the matter of selling this magical item. Allen clarified if he could give him a price. He was not familiar with the prices of such things. Terrace asked him only not to mention it to any other merchant besides him. What about the sum of 30,000 guineas apiece without the magic stone? It's so expensive and the production only costs 2,000 guineas. He suggests he give him 20,000 guineas apiece without the magic stone. Terrace pointed out that the guy is too kind to people, and merchants don't tell anyone the cost of raw materials and products. But he agreed that he would give it to him for 20,000 guineas. As many as he can make, he's willing to buy them all. Alan asked about the 30 pieces and he will deliver them in 5 days. He can't send them as often, so he only does it in his spare time. He's already gotten over the fact that he's selling him his new inventions. Once they're in action, he hasn't been told about their profits for a long time. Then in 5 days, he'll have everything delivered to him. The terrorists are counting on him. The boys said he's such a wonderful fellow because he's a terrible salesman. But he's a genius at coming up with absurdly useful products. Moreover, he is a first-class adventurer, yet he is pessimistic or rather unsure. Until I show him and people start using his talents for their own benefit. Selena and Sharon asked him to go buy some balls and armor. He didn't understand why all of a sudden. They want swords because they are much more comfortable with them. And besides, if they have swords, the weird guys won't harass them. He realized that today they were going to buy them swords. With these swords, they won't be using things from the Imperial gear. That sounded fine. And would he advise him on anything? Alan greeted Zach. noting that they hadn't seen each other in a while. He saw that he had a new addition to his squad. They are twins, and they came to buy armor. Alan forced that you run away. One girl said that they will pay themselves. He was surprised that not so much gold coins it turns out they brought from the ship. He suggested that they were using duplicates. He stated that if they duplicated the money, the economy of this planet would collapse. The girls realized this, so they took some. Claria asked her if there was a problem, but the guy said there was no problem. Alan asked the twins what swords they would like. But they don't know anything, so they asked him which one he uses. He showed his sword. Zack is quite sharp, but it is not a magic sword. The water used to annex this ball has mixed the power of the magic stone, and it means that through this sword one can transfer magical power. He clarified if he was talking about the last blade. He has a couple of them, and of course they are expensive. Sharon powers that this sword is similar to the one Alan has, and she takes it. However, her sister says no, she will take it. Sharon, all you saw first was who took your sword. Selena declares that she won them in the pairing and let them give her the sword. She is sure she wants to take advantage of the win now, and Selena is sure. Sharon reminds her that she has 2 more tries left. Alan, what are they talking about? The girls asked the guy how they looked. He replied that he looked great. Claria noted 100 times already, not here, the girls also have magic items. Alan noted that these are his military weapons. Is a long magical contraption a powerful weapon? The Imperial Quantum Convergent Pistol. Unlike the pulse rifle, there is no homing or high power, but if you increase the power itself, the weapon can become deadly. Yes, it can be much stronger than magic when used at short ranges. Claria was amazed that it was so deadly. What kind of military does Alan belong to? Suddenly, someone turned to Her Majesty and said he was glad she was alive. The girl checked with the man to see if he was Dalsim, and the others, even Baronet Serio. But why are they here? And they haven't seen her in so long, and they are ashamed of it. Well, the girl didn't understand what other shame. Alan, they stand out a bit, and they should go somewhere else. Dalsim asked Her Majesty who all the people were. She replied that they were her companions. It was fine, and they could trust them. In any case, they should go somewhere else. And they clarified what that place was. They've booked this hotel, and he says not to bother her. There was a huge number of guys who were here to stay with Her Majesty. Claria asked them to please look up and discuss who was doing well. Dalsim thanked the guy for taking care of Miss Claria. He replied that everything was fine. Dalsim apologized to Claria for being so quick, but had she heard the ritual to the warriors from the border? The girl shared that there are only a couple of rumors. There are about 2,000 of them, and at the first order they are not ready to give their lives to protect her. The girl was amazed and told them to go home. She asked them all to listen to her. Alan asked the girl to let him handle it. He asked everyone to listen carefully. He didn't believe that the Adventurers Guild would respond, and so he wasn't sure if they would be able to take 2,000 allies. But despite that, and Majesties don't give up, and he can't tell them everything. But could they please wait a little longer? Claria didn't know what he was talking about. Dalsim said that he knew what he was talking about, sir, but you heard that he was a military man and he wouldn't be there for no reason. Elna asked indignantly if he would not trust Her Majesty's word. Dalsim said that he was speaking to him on behalf of the commander of the Royal Guard. Alana clarified what she was suggesting he do. Dalsim fears that they will have to settle this with a duel. Alan notes that this is a strange turn of events. Elna asked Dalsim what if the entire Royal Guard challenged Alan, including her, of course, because she is also a member of the Royal Guard. Dalsim clarified what she had just said. Alan's power goes beyond what they consider normal. If he and the rest of the Guard lose, even if they unite against him, they will have nothing left but to believe Claria's story. Elna asked Alan if that would be okay with him. Elna has seen with her own eyes his real fighting abilities against humans. She herself might want to test his abilities, or she might. The twins stated that it's reckless and he won't be able to overpower them all. It's true, no matter how strong he is, he's outnumbered. Alan stated that it will be okay. They will use wooden swords in this fake battle. This is necessary, for they won't listen to him until he does it. He took advantage of Claria's desire to revive the royal family, and he must answer for it. They'll start with a crescent moon formation. Their opponent is only one. They need to stay vigilant. Elna asked the commander for permission to be in charge. She can gain 70 seconds of her magic at the same time he will take the formation and attack. Dalsim agreed. They would do just that. Both sides finished preparing and they started. The fight finished. Alan used shooting magic. People didn't believe it. It's impossible. He can use not only fighting magic to attack several people while healing magic. Like Her Majesty said, he's the chosen one of the goddess. As he thought it was hard to kill with so many soldiers, but he still won, and what was expected of Alan. The guy stated that there was a reason for this. First, he asked her for permission to explain what he had said earlier. She told him to tell him she really wants to know why he did what he did. The guy apologized, but he would like to talk to Claria alone, so could they please leave them alone? Claria asked Elna to come out, please. Alan asked Celine and Sharon to leave as well. Alan lives first of all. He'd want to apologize for what happened earlier. He would apologize for telling everyone he had a plan, but not telling her about it. She accepted that one, and I'm sure she had a reason. He had lived what he didn't think was the foundation of a Watt country on this continent. Claria was shocked to hear about founding a country. He stated that that was why he acted on his own and used it to his advantage. The girl, he clarified, was also involved with Celine and Sharon. He confirmed it, much to the princess's shock. It turns out it's just the three of them. She has allies who are helping them, and the girl clarified how many. He can't tell her the exact number, but assures her that it's a powerful support. Claria wants to create a country or that she will use those who follow her. Is that what he wants to say? Alan says no, not at all. Lena, what is he going to create a country? If she and the others don't want to be a part of it, they don't have to be a part of it. Let her know that he would like her and the others to become residents of his country. The girl asked about the country they're going to create, how he's going to do it. They're already working on setting up their first operational base. The actual operations will be done in a year, and they will start by gathering people at the base and then build a city. Then they will gradually expand their territories. Claria clarified the location of the base he was talking about. Alan stated that it was in the Great Demonic Forest, much to the girl's shock. This morning in the inn generously in Alan Corinth's room. He decided to clarify first, and they still don't know who attacked them in hyperspace. Iris confirmed it. As for their point of arrival, what about that planet with the humans? I know nothing about it either. The position of the ship while traveling in hyperspace can only be determined by quantum probability. Even if we take the probability that the ship does not converge at one point during the exit from hyperspace, it is a miracle few ships will let successfully materialize during such an incident. In other words, there's no progress on the circumstances of why they're here. Iris has stated that, in general, yes. Then the Imperial search party in this sector and the arrival of the rescue flotilla. Samara earlier in 1200 years. And what is this prediction based on? Based on Iris's analysis of the Imperial space sector exploration algorithms. That algorithm hasn't changed in 500 years, so they have no hope of rescue. That number is just probability theory, and help could come much sooner. So the probability of rescue while he's alive tends to 0. Alan realized that, and he was prepared for it. An 88% chance that the bugs will appear in this system before the Imperial Army finds this planet. What should he do then? Iris told the captain there was nothing he could do about it. To give you an example of how much they can't modify a ship in 500 years, if they have a fleet of 16 B6I-type cruisers, they can fight 2 Beetle fleets at the same time. However, if she only has 1 cruiser of that type, they have no chance of winning. He suggested that he could create a facility for spatial communication via EPR link. They can fabricate a subspace connection system by dismantling some shades and recycling them, but it won't work through the reactor. Good luck, L1. What if they load the reactor or it is asking a lot? Iris stated that is not possible as they don't have enough materials. Even if they had the resources, they would need a huge dock to build the reactor. This is an impossible mission created by the maintenance bots. Before he boarded the Iris Conrad, he went on a rescue mission to a colony attacked by bugs. The operation failed, and 70% of the population was killed by the bugs. After destroying a fleet of bugs in a star system, they landed on a planet to rescue them, but what he saw was a living hell. Didn't realize if such a tragedy would happen again on this planet. He suggested that if they improved human technology on this planet, but they won't have time to do it in time for a beetle attack. Even if they don't finish the reaction in 600 years or later, it doesn't think they can't even reach a sufficient technological level to build a reactor in orbit. There are many problems, such as developing human resources and training the planet's inhabitants in technology. First of all, how is it going to live the people who live here? She's right, of course. He needs to teach them basic science. Well, do people want to learn science in a world of magic? Alan stopped and wondered why he was so obsessed with saving this planet. Firstly, the likelihood of encountering bugs while he is the same is very small. And secondly, he no longer has the obligations of an imperial soldier. If it was so easy, why couldn't he live a peaceful life here? But he understood and declared to Iris that he had made up his mind. The people of the planet Alessa, he would teach them science even if they opposed it. That he would take over the planet. Iris understood him. He clarified if she would not object. The girl replied that there was no point. It was a violation of the Imperial Code, and he was going to take over an entire planet at will. This planet was not annexed by the Galactic Empire. Therefore, it is not a violation of the code. Sounds like a sophism. Iris turned to the captain and stated that he would be the commander-in-chief of this section of space. In the absence of a governor-general, the captain's wish is the wish of the Empire. However, since this planet is not part of the Empire, it would be more correct to speak of invasion or occupation rather than conquest. Invasion or occupation sounds like they're the bad guys. It doesn't matter. He wants her to start planning their next move to take over Alis. Iris took his orders. First, they need a secure base of operations. Iris thinks this place would be suitable. The Great Demon Forest. Isn't it a forbidden land that's teeming with monsters? It is, and according to the drone analysis, mineral deposits are abundant. Moreover, the place is rich in energy resources such as fossil fuels and monsters from all over the continent. She doesn't think there's a better place for a base. Are the monsters an energy resource? Or rather, is she referring to the magic stones? That's right. I mean, she knows that monsters come out of the thicket of the forest all the time. Will everything be fine? As long as they have drones, it won't be a problem. Alan decided to leave the base organization to Iris. It turns out it will take them about 20 years to make this country an empire territory. They'll never do it if they procrastinate. They need to build a city of at least 10,000 people in 5 years. That's going to be difficult. They have to do it. To this day, no human planet has ever been incorporated into the empire by military occupation. He will go down in history as the first to do so. She hopes not as the most dangerous criminal in imperial history. It doesn't matter. He's not going to give up. He must save the human race of this planet by all means. He promises. Claria clarified that he knows what kind of place this forest is. Alan replied that of course he knows how dangerous it is and she doesn't need to worry. His allies are pretty strong. She asked him when the base would be ready. Alan informed her that it would be a year from now. What about the people of her country? What would they do without them? He thought becoming an aristocrat would be a good idea, so that's why he's been asking her about it since this morning. Claria apologized to him, but she had to decline the offer. Alan clarified if he could find out why. For one thing, even if he cuts a path into the great demonic forest and builds a city, she doesn't think life there will be peaceful. Most likely, she would even find it difficult. There's no way she can take her people to a place like that. Secondly, those 2,000 people following her are her uncle's vassals. They follow her in the hope that she will avenge her uncle and his friends and take back the country. There's no way she's sending them to him against their will. He hasn't told me yet, but he plans to create a country and take over the entire continent. If she wants, he can give her the kingdom of Alois on a silver platter. They don't know when that will happen, but I think he can do it while she's still alive. Claria, is he serious right now? Absolutely. They can talk about life on the base when she sees her. Then she can decide. If she still thinks it's impossible, that's okay. She didn't understand why he was doing this. She knows he's not the kind of man that would lust for power, and she doesn't understand why he wants to create a country. He's not sure if she'll believe him or not, but he's doing it for the people living here. Does he mean to say he's creating a country and conquering an entire continent for the people who live here? What the hell is all this for? Alan claims it's all about enlightenment. He wants to give people knowledge of the world so they can live happy, fulfilling lives. and that's his only wish. He says he will create a country for the happiness of the people here, and she can't believe it. In that case, he wouldn't mind ruling the continent with her. The girl was dumbfounded what it means to rule together with her, and them with the words she and he. They are the ones who will work and rule the territories together. He will be responsible for education and how it is implemented. And the policy of uniting the continent as soon as possible is out of the question. The rest she can decide on her own. The girl noted that if he is okay with it, the guy is in favor of it. But the last word is up to her. Claria asked him to wait. It was all too sudden and she needed time to think. He clarified if he could leave, but the girl replied that it was okay. The girl stated that she was accepting his offer, but she had 3 conditions. The first is that if the conditions at his base are intolerable, they will assume this conversation never happened. The second is that the state will be governed by mutual consent, except for the formation and unification of the continent. 3. If he can get hold of the Aloha Kingdom, he will give the administration of the territory in question to her alone. These are her terms, and if he agrees to them, she will give him all of herself and cooperate with him. Alan told Claria Starvin that he promised to protect and honor these conditions. He asked if he should draw up a document. The girl stated that he had completely ruined the atmosphere. He suggested to start again. Alan stated that the reason he called them was to establish the policy of the Imperial Army. The policy is based on the probability that the bugs will attack in the next 1,200 years. According to the analysis, the chance of an attack is over 80%. Alice's people are not subjects of the Empire, but as a representative of one human race, he considers them quasi-imperial subjects. That is why he is determined to save this planet. To do so, they must raise its technological level. They have no choice but to build a reactor in orbit with the help of the locals. After all, they're like imperial soldiers. In the name of humanity's galactic empire, they will occupy Alice and annex these territories to the Empire. First, they need to fortify the bases and establish systems of government and education on the ground. And once they do, they will expand their authority beyond the borders of the Empire. It will be a hard and difficult battle, an unprecedented long operation. Their generation may not be able to finish the occupation. They will pass this mission on to the next generation of elite Imperial soldiers. He wants them to lay the foundation in creating the next generation of Edlita and asked what they think. Celine stated that she would of course fight at His Excellency's side. Sharon too. No operation is as important as this one. Alan is very grateful to them. They already have plans, and now he will give more details. Sharon clarified if they would be increasing their troops. The only thing he thought about was to increase their troops, but they must be reliable, because for the people of this planet, they are invaders. They asked if he meant the likes of Caleria and the others. Alan answered that he could say that. When the base is completed, he would like to set up some sort of training center for officers, give them nanomas so they can then become the core of the Imperial Army. If he ever has children, he'll send them into the army. It's unfortunate that the parents will determine the child's lifestyle. He can't force them, but he asks that their children do the same. He's sure that one day their children will lead the Imperial Army. The girls stated that in other words for his superior they would. The guy said that enough about serious things, and he decided to set a deadline of 5 years. He will test their resolve each time before it expires. They will be able to decide if they want to continue. It's their right as an Imperial soldier, and of course they'll be paid. Well, a monthly payment including special circumstances. He clarified if the girls would listen to him, but they confusedly said if he really didn't mind. He didn't know what they meant. The girls had clarified about their children. They are both heroines, clones of Iris, and it is in their genes to be elite. There is no one more suitable. The girls understood, and they will go to their heart and soul and do everything they can to provide for their children. The boy is glad to hear that. Iris stated that although she is an artificial intelligence but Captain as a man, he has a lot of problems. Here I didn't understand what she meant. Claria thought about ruling with Alan. As a king, she would be queen and what she would do. Dalsim asked about the idea of creating a country. It was a great idea, and he would even say it was admirable, and she finally made up her mind. He wondered where they planned to start. To which the girl replied that the Great Demonic Forest. Dalsim apexed, remembering what that place was. She said that she knew, but not to worry. Alan's subordinates had already started building the base, and it would be finished within a year. When the base is ready, they'll move in. But first we need to customize their power. Elna asked if he thought that the 2,000 people following her would agree. Dalsim stated that they would. These people have worked for the Earl family for generations, and none of them would dare oppose Her Highness of the Ludovic family. If living at the base became impossible, she would renege on the deal, and he could be sure. Dalsim stated that they would be happy with whatever she decides. It seems that Alan temporarily wants to become a nobleman and gather people. Then she thinks that he plans to become you and become independent. They realized that he plans to take over. In that case, they should not think about the means and need to take back the Starwick Kingdom as soon as possible. Alan promised her that before her death, he will definitely give her the Kingdom of Starwick, not the Kingdom of Alois on a silver platter. Her subordinates said that was good to hear. It was no joke, and the country they would create would conquer the entire continent to unite the people living there. Dalsim asked if Sir Alan could do it. She didn't think it would be easy. It would take a few years, but she was sure he could do it. Elna stated that this was said by Sir Alan, who is on good terms with the community, and he is loved by the goddess Luminous, so she will follow her orders without too much blubbering. Dalsim stated that she was right. They're wondering what kind of person Alan is. Briefly, he was not from this continent, and when they first met, he did not even know the language. The man wondered how he was able to master it in such a short time. Looks like he came from far away on a ship, and most likely a military ship. Those twins are his wards, and she had heard that their ship had crashed and they were stuck here. It's amazing that there are other continents where people live. Dalsim apologized for his rudeness, but he would ask directly if they could trust Sir Alan. The girl stated that if the question was asked to her personally, she would say that it could be relied upon and there was no doubt about it. Cleria also asked Elna for her opinion. The knight answered that she too thinks he can be trusted. He is a kind and honest man. They wonder who he is by origin, and about this Her Majesty has no idea. Celine, one of his subordinates at the meeting, slightly spoke, and she said that a simple princess from a backwater country is nothing compared to Alan. The old man was indignant to see if she wanted to tell her that he was a member of royalty and from a big country. But Alan insists he's not an aristocrat. Then maybe he's some kind of army general. Perhaps that's how lucky they are to have met such a powerful general. Elna also agreed, because it was unlikely that they would be as lucky in the future. But doesn't that mean that as a general, he is creating a country as a springboard to take over this continent? Alan confessed to Cleria that he was doing it for the happiness of the people. To give people knowledge of the world so they would live happily, is what he told her. The old man remarked that this sir was like some kind of saint. Dalsim asked Her Highness if she believed it. She saw no reason to doubt it, for it was like his usual behavior. The old man told Her Highness that there is one more thing he must clarify. When the country is founded, who will govern it? Her Highness or Sir Alan? Elna stammered that of course it would be Her Highness. Cleria snapped that actually after the conversation, it had been decided that she would join the departure. Elna clarified if she didn't mean it, so it was confirmed that they would be betrothed and make the journey together. So their discussion came to this point, and whether they could congratulate her in advance. The joy of this news depends on whether they can create a country or not. But she doesn't get upset about it. In that case, they have already laid the foundation, but at the moment they have to think about how to establish the country. If he wants to be a Don, he must have some kind of battle honors. Cleria said he didn't need to worry about that, because the strength he had shown today was only a fraction of his true power. She asked Elna how many soldiers they would need if they wanted to defeat him. Elna asked if they were talking about his full combat readiness. Cleria suggested that she imagined they were coming up with a strategy. Elna said that in that case they would need at least 200 heavily armed horsemen and 100 royal knights equipped with mithril armor and shields. Dalsim asked her if she was joking and what she meant by full combat readiness. In addition to his magic and swordsmanship, he uses special magical tools. They could easily pierce iron armor, and moreover, she had never seen such magical equipment before. The old man stated that it's more than just 100 men, and whether or not they'll really be able to rejuvenate Starwick. Claria is confident that Alan can handle it. Someone thanked the goddess Luminos for this. Old Baronet Serio asked the lad to take a seat here. He doesn't need to call him officially, and he can just call him Robert. Alan agreed. Then the old man added that they could all just call him Robert too. Claria urged him to eat before the food got cold. These dishes are eaten in Alan's homeland, and he had taught his host how to cook them correctly. Alan shared that this is his favorite and wished everyone a good appetite. Dalsum said that it was marvelous, and they wondered what it was. Alan's knowledge of cooking is unrivaled, so they need to hurry before it's all gone. Alan checks with Buzz if he has a minute. He needs advice from a former A-rank adventurer. If he wants to increase his rank, the best thing to do is to go through the Great Demon Forest. As an option, a lot of inquiries come in on the Sea of Trees, but the danger of that place is not comparably great. He asked if there was a trick to get the rank up faster. Buzz stated that it's worth taking requests that no one else is taking. It would be best if he received a request from another guild other than adventurers. For example, a trade guild would submit requests to kill bandits. His fulfillment would be rated much higher than the fulfillment of another request at the same rank. He doesn't know, maybe the bosses of the Adventurer Guild would be happy if other guilds owed them. By the way, he heard that an S-ranker became a nobleman, and if it was true. Buzz stated that there have been cases, and there have even been cases of A-ranked becoming nobles. That's what happened to his old group. The leader of the group became a nobleman because he was recognized for his special achievements during the monster invasion. Alan stated that isn't that cool, and why didn't he become a nobleman himself? Buzz doesn't want to be a nobleman. That battle was hell. A lot of adventurers died then. He got sick of it and just took the money and opened a tavern. Alan also thinks it suits him better. Buzz stated something else he wanted to warn him about. The noble society is even more demonic than the Great Demonic Forest. The area around the demonic forest is the front line of defense against monsters. There will be many opportunities to gain nobility. Claria stated that means it's decided. They will go to the area around the Great Demonic Forest and raise his rank to become a noble. Alan was in agreement. Next to the Sea of Trees are the Kingdom of Cecilia and Bertha, which country's noblemen he wants to become. Countries are early to unite, so it doesn't matter. But the first victim will be the country that his dear knights have a grudge against, the Kingdom of Bertha. Dalsum has ordered everyone to listen. Her Highness has an announcement to make. Everyone here has sought her out, and she appreciates their loyalty. She knows that the Kingdom of Starwick no longer exists, and she is no longer a princess. They have already fulfilled their duties. Those of them who want to return to their homeland are free to leave their post as royal knights. Dalsum stated that everyone here has already decided that they will follow her for the rest of their lives. Claria thanked them. In that case, she declares that they will build a new country. Of course, it will not be easy, and on the contrary, you can say that it will be risky and unusual. But she has decided to bet everything on this dream, and so she asks all those who agree to follow her, she will bring back the Kingdom of Starwick. They decided to go to Bert's kingdom. He had a successful meeting with Mr. Terrace where they discussed a deal about magic tools. Their production and maintenance was entrusted to the Magic Guild. Though it seems the fee for mediation is quite high, as the guild members of the country smirked. He taught Buzz all the recipes that could be made from local ingredients. He was excited about the new dishes, so he decided to thank him properly. He figured it was a small price to pay for the free food and lodging. Afterward, they took the equipment and supplies from Selena and Sharon's capsule. They would be needed for the journey ahead. Accompanied by one Imperial military drone, they left Gatania. Claria has been asking Robert about the Kingdom of Alois. The farm tax is now 70% of the annual levy. Per-person tax is also 70% including children, but the nobles have a different tax for North and South. Claria heard that in the new Starwick, the northern nobles were heavily taxed. It is, and the consequences end up falling on the common people and say that discontent with the local government is slowly growing. They will take advantage of this and try to stir up discontent among the people to destroy the new Starwick faction once and for all. Alan suggested the girl use bait to catch fish. They mistake it for food and get hooked. He clarified if she had such a line. Claria was surprised that it is unbelievable it is almost invisible, and from such a fish, and will guess that it is a knife. As in fishing, nothing happens quickly. It is worth it to fixate on a side and subjects, and here is already far ahead. He said he wanted to give it to her, by the way. It was a knife just like his. It's the same magic knife that can cut through anything. It can even go through iron, so you don't have to be careful with it. It's a magical tool. But he doesn't have a magic stone, more like a fact, and he has another one, so she can give it to Elna later. It was the 13th day of the journey, and there was 1 day left to Gan's fortress. As they approached the great demonic forest, the number of monsters increased, but the girl doesn't feel their presence. They are chasing them at some distance, and it's only morning, so he doesn't think they will decide to attack so many people. Nanom registers a broken strip on the road 3 kilometers away. Over 10 dead people and 5 survivors have been identified. Unknown. If they were attacked by monsters or bandits, Nanom started zooming in on the heat sources. There were bandits. Alan announced that there were bandits on the road ahead, and they seemed to be attacking someone. Dalsim clarified if he had recognized them at such a distance thanks to many detections. Alan stated that there were only 5 of them and he thought they should keep moving. Claria said that they should hurry because there might be survivors. Alani warned that 2 of them had bows and ordered Dalsim to wait here. The latter noted that they would not be able to get at them from here. Nanom captured the target, after which the guy used magic. It was unexpected and orders were given to disarm them. The men clarified why they suddenly attacked them. Alan stated that he saw the man pulling the bowstring whether they were bandits or not. The man didn't know what the hell he was talking about and said he pulled the bowstring just in case. Alan sharpened how he would then explain the pile of bodies. The man stated that it was bandits that attacked them and they were lucky to survive, so they decided to go back. He clarified so all these people were his comrades. He approached one corpse and asked what his name was. The man assumed the guy's name was Danny. Alan said the answer was wrong. This is his adventurer's card and his name was Gil. He knew the man was a bandit. Elna said it was too much trouble and they still had a long way to go, so she suggested they get rid of them and be done with it. Alan agreed that was what they would do. The man stated that the Danya are bandits and his boys will be here soon, so they had better get out of here as soon as possible. Dalsim was laughed at the bandit begging for mercy, and it's so funny. He saw the corpse as by his over 10 men could tuba, and at only 8, they do have comrades. Alan wondered where their comrades were. They are holed up in a shelter and not far from here. Alan asked the Nanoma to check the perimeter for people nearby. Claria clarified with the man what they were doing there. They had captured 3 pretty girls and were going to have fun with them, but they had made a mistake, so it was not their turn yet, and as a punishment they were going to take their luggage. The scans were completed and the shelter was located. Alan ordered D1 to protect the wagons and stay away from them. Alan stated that he and Elna were going there. Claria objected and stated that she was going with them. He stated that it will probably be indoors, so there is no point in such a large group of people going there. The rest of us need to stay here and keep an eye out for more bandits. There were 7 people inside and he is going to disarm them with magic. But if something unforeseen happens, he is counting on the girl. The man yelled for the girls to shut up and spread their legs. Alan seized the target and attacked the men. He called for the knights to untie the girls. As expected from a magic item, it goes through the skull as if it were a fruit. Alan introduced himself to the girls that he was a member of the Sea Ragnova group, the Shining Star Adventurers, and he had heard about them from the bandits who had caught them earlier, and they had come to help. One of the girls stated that she was fine, and her name was Alista. From the other 2 girls' names, Karina and Natalie, they stepped in for her, and the girls were very grateful for the rescue and they owed him their lives. Alan replied that everything was fine and they were sorry, but all their escorts had died. Alista said she was sorry to hear that. He clarified that they wouldn't do anything about the bandits. Alista apologized and clarified if it was possible they could leave the bandits on them. Alan did not understand what they meant. If left like this, cleaning these girls will be ruined. If they need money, she can pay later. The other 2 girls turned to Miss Alista. Claria pointed out that it would be better this way, wouldn't it? Selena and Sharon left the decision to Alan. No one understood what they were doing there. Alista stated that it would be over soon. Karina and Natalie apologized for waiting, and now their honor was restored. They have asked to accept their thanks, and Alista is pleased to hear that. Alan seems a little perplexed, but it's a common way of restoring honor. They're on their way to Gans. I'm not very grateful for their help, but if it's not too much trouble, they can keep them company. Cleria said of course they would. They're going there too. Alista thanked them and introduced herself as the daughter of Cyrus, the head of the Gantz Trade Guild. As soon as they arrive, she promises them that they will be richly rewarded. The guys asked him if it wasn't just a bunch of crumbled rice. He replied that you could say that, but inside was fried salmon. The girl pointed out that he was eating with his hands. Onigiri is the kind of food one eats on the go. Alista was delighted because it was the first time she had ever seen such a dish. She said she was the daughter of Cyrus, the head of the trade guild. But how famous is this man? Cleria stated that he is also the head of Cyrus Trading Company. He is the richest man in Gans. Alista's been living the good life. They all know she's the only one not raped by gangsters and likely being held for ransom. That makes sense, and that's the point. They could already see Gans from here. Indeed, he justifies the city's status as a fortress city. The guard said he'd never seen them here before, nor were they merchants. Alan replied that no, they are adventurers, Group C ranked Shining Star. They need to pay a cash deposit and go through some procedures before they can enter, which will take about half a day. Alista apologized and asked if they could let them in as an exception. The guard recognized her and clarified why they were in the same wagon with them. It reminded him of something already. The girl said that her crew had been attacked by bandits, and these men had saved her. When she didn't come back, the Lord got very worried and the Trade Guild is now in an uproar. They are thinking of sending out a search party. Alista stated that this is terrible, and they need to hurry up and stop it. She clarified if these people can go with her, and the dreaded agreed. The guys pointed out that it was trading shell casings there, and a bunch of people gathered. The man yelled for them to hurry up. Then the man saw his own daughter. Alista told her father that she was so sorry for making him worry. He asked her not to worry, and the most important thing is that she is fine. As they see her lady is back safe and sound, he asks for forgiveness, but they cancel the requests everyone can be free. Cyrus asks his daughter if what happened and who these people are. His daughter replied that the friends were attacked by bandits, and it was the adventurers who rescued them. The man pointed out that there were 20 people in her security detail, and that they were attacked anyway. As it turned out, some of the escorts had food poisoning, and the others insisted that there was no problem, and she agreed. The man turned to a girl named Karina and asked how she could have let this happen. The girl replied that there was no forgiveness for her, and she was willing to accept any punishment. Alista asked her father not to blame Karina, because she wanted to return as soon as possible, so she agreed with him. He noted that she says you have adventurers with rescued her. If it wasn't for sure, the bandits killed their hideout and rescued them there. The man noted that his daughter was also kidnapped. Did they do anything to her? The girl replied that they had done nothing and that she had been tied up for ransom. The man thanked them for saving his daughter and introduced himself as Cyrus. Alan introduced himself that he was from the C-rank Shining Star group, and it would be strange not to help them, so let him take it into his head. The girl stated that she had promised him a reward. However, it's not something they can't discuss here so easily, and he offered to talk about it another day. He clarified that they weren't staying anywhere, and agreed that Karina would escort them to the tavern, and he would contact them later. Karina announced to Sir Alan that she would escort him out. The guy calls that well, but first he would like to go into the Guild Adventurers and need to do something with the things of the killed adventurers. The guys came to the Guild Adventurers' Gans. They say that during the escort mission, all the members of the group Iron Order got food poisoning, and during the trip back they were attacked by bandits and killed another group Green Wind. Then the group Shining Star saved them. Karina confirmed all of this. The person asked to give Mr. Allen their guild card, please. She thinks that they can confirm the death of the Green Wind group with their belongings. As for the Iron Order, once they investigate and check something will be assigned an appropriate punishment. The girl also approached Mr. Allen, thanks him for returning the dead people's belongings. Normally, a guild card would be enough for proof, but she thought the families of the deceased would be grateful to him for that. Allen calls that no problem. That's right, they're recommended by the Trade Guild. They were greeted inside, and it was Karina's own person. Karina turned to a woman named Kira and mentioned that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. She had brought several clients to the trade guild. Kira clarified if these people outside are also with them, and she's afraid they don't have enough rooms for everyone. Claria stated that they need one single 2 double rooms for 2 weeks. Alan clarified about Dalsim and the others. Robert is gathering 2,000 soldiers of Earl's army. Dalsim and the other royal knights will go to summon the remaining loyalists and knights, and so they won't stay in Gons. Karina, she just said royal knights, and she didn't know what they were talking about. Kira stated that all the rooms are ready and they can choose any rooms they like. Karina called them over here. Alan asked her to stop calling him sir since he has no status to be called that. The girl said that after he saved her, she decided that she would treat him with respect for the rest of her life, so he can't make her stop calling him sir, no matter how much he asks. His Excellency is very popular. Alan noted that Sharon is joking and she's a little weird. Karina announced to her horde that she was back. The man was dragged away whether she had taken those adventurers to the tavern. The girl confirmed that they had stopped at the Spring Breeze Tavern. He realized, and they are pretty wealthy adventurers, aren't they? He suggested that she keep this conversation between them, but he had heard that she had to pay a high price, and could she tell them what had happened? The girl stated that during the incident, the hideout, Sir Alan, suddenly appeared, and the bandits started to scream and stay away. It seems they were from such a thing on magic at the same time. He clarified that there were 7 people there, meaning all 7 were Kona magic at the same time. The girl stated that everyone had a burn on their right shoulder and most likely left by fire magic. Cyrus wondered if there was anything else. When they came out of the cave, they were taken care of and he used healing magic on them. I'm surprised he can even do that. Moreover, it wasn't unusual magic and not fully recovered in about 10 seconds. Cyrus couldn't believe he heard that their honor had been restored. The girl replied that they were very grateful to him for that too. On the way, they met 15 lessons, and he killed them alone. Cyrus clarified if she had seen him do it herself. She stated that no, he suddenly stopped the streak and went into the woods. Then everyone went to retrieve the magical stones, leaving 15 orc corpses behind. So that means he defeated them single-handedly. The orc corpses were still warm, and the guards were not hit by magic or sword blows. Also on the way, they were used magic and magic balls a few times by the monsters and the rest of the group, but it wasn't like they were beginners. Also, they used some magic artifacts that they had never seen before. So they are unusual adventurers, no damn one like them. Alista stated that she still thought Mrs. Rhea and Elna were nobles, and she determined it by their manners and gestures, especially Miss Rhea, there's no doubt about it, and she thinks she's a member of the high nobility. What if they invite them to a dinner party? Have a dinner party under the pretense of discussing the bounty and at the same time spy or follow them? Alista said that's exactly what it would be. Cyrus said that's exactly what they would do. He doesn't like the fact that they owe them and don't know anything about them. They decided that then they would start the preparations, and he is not excited about all these things, that so leaves it on her. What about that group of shining stars arriving here a couple weeks ago? They had been here just a few minutes ago, and anyway, he had called for the head of Kevin's guild to take a look here. The head of an orc leader and 74 magic-like stones. Quite a haul for today. All of this was obtained in a day by just 5 members of these starfarers and what's his name. The guild leader couldn't believe how such a thing was possible. They had accompanied them to the place where it happened and there could be no mistake. So why the fuck were they still at rank C? So the trade guild was interested in everyone, not just because they had rescued the daughter of its head. The man ordered the fastest horses to be saddled, start with Gotania and go through all the nearest guilds. We need to gather any information we can find on this group. Their date of incorporation and history of requests taken and so on. He needs all the data he can find. Dear friends, if you want to see the continuation of this manga, let's collect 40,000 views or 5,000 likes under this video, and then I will definitely do the second part.